That is my cue to start the show. And welcome to another live edition of the Hard Rocket Sports Show, live from high atop Hard Rocket Sports Studios in beautiful city Monroe, New Jersey. We are your 2-hour, that's right, 2-hour weekly get together. We bring you all the biggest news from the worlds of hard rock, heavy metal, of course, the wide world of sports. And guys, welcome to Thursday, August the 15th in the year of our good Lord 2024. And I hope you guys have had a great week. I've had a pretty good week. That's right. I've had a pretty good week. It's not been terrible. Work's lightening up a little bit. Catching my breath. It's been 2 years of hard labor, as they call it. But I got no complaints. I got a good job, and I work with good people. And I got great friends, and a couple of them will be up here in a little bit. One is the usual Mr. Jeff. Doesn't know what he's talking about, Tolwinski. And, of course, our good buddy Frank Geffre will join us tonight for as long as he wants. We got a wide range of topics, from baseball, hockey, some football, a lot of football. We'll get to a lot of stuff tonight. Again, as far as Frank wants to hang, he can hang as long as he wants. We'll wait for Jeff to get here. I promised I would do something for the next few weeks and maybe for the next few months, and that is I will do a couple minutes on the election every week. I'm sorry. You don't want to hear it, click the button, whatever you want. But I think this is a super important election. And if you're paying attention, and again, guys, I never say you're dumb for voting for somebody. I just say you're dumb if you don't do your homework. If you do your homework on a candidate, president, senator, congressman, councilman, garbage picker, I don't care who it is. If you do your homework and you think that that is the best candidate for you, I say that's a great thing. I might not agree with you, but I would tell you I respect what you're doing. What I don't like is when people go, I have no idea, I just don't like him. Or I'm voting for her because she's a black woman. Or I'm voting for her because she's a white woman. Or I'm voting for him because he's a white man. That I don't respect. I got to be honest with you. I just don't. Okay? Do your homework. Know the candidates. Know what they stand for. You know, you can't look at me and tell me that after almost 4 years of what we've been going through, rising prices in food, gas, your utility bills, everything that's been going on. And I do the household shopping here. Okay? Every week I spend an extra $40 on exactly. And again, I'm a creature of habit. When I go food shopping, I buy basically the same things every week. I might buy a different brand, a couple bucks more, a couple bucks left. Very rarely do I impulse buy. You know, I get the same things. Some weeks it's a little bit more. I buy a little more meat. Some weeks we don't do a lot of cooking that way. So, but it's in the same price range. And I'm spending every week $30, $40, $50 more. So I pay more. I know I'm paying more for gas. My electric bill's a little higher than it was. So why would I vote for two people who, well, at least one? Why would I vote for Kamala Harris when she's had 4 years to fix the problems that I believe she's caused? So all I say out there is know the candidate. You know, one last thing on it is, you know, what I don't respect from a candidate is flip-flops. Last week you were anti-cop. This week you're pro-cop. Last week you said the border's fine. You know, this week you're going to fix the border. Be who you are. Tell me what you got. Tell me what you're going to do. And if I like you, I like you. But when you're a flip-flopper, or you're all of a sudden this week you're up for something that you haven't been for 15 years, you know, to me I got no respect for you. So all I say to you folks is do your homework. Know the candidates. Know if you're voting for Tampon Tim. Know if you're voting for Kamala, who's against fracking, and she's anti-cop and she's anti-Israel. She's a socialist. If you're okay with her being a socialist, and he's more left than she is, if you're okay with it, vote for it. I don't agree with you, but I respect you. But if you're just saying, well, they're not Trump, well, I don't no idea what they are, but I'm just not going to vote for him, then I got no respect for you. I just don't. I'm sorry, I don't. But I don't expect everybody to have my opinion. I expect you to do the homework that I do. I watch the news. I listen to it on the way home. I read the newspaper. I try to catch both sides of the aisle. I think there's some good in both. I voted Democrat in my life. I voted Republican. Convince me. You convince me that you're the best messenger. That's all I say. So I said I'm going to do this every week. So if you don't want to hear it, tune in about 10 after 7. You'll miss it. Otherwise, you're going to get about 10 minutes of me because I think this election is so – can you imagine what this country is going to look like 2 years from now if her and Waltz are in office? I mean, just go through the ad. Go YouTube it. Just YouTube the ads. All right? You're not going to see them on the news, and she's not going to tell you. And everybody's happy and smiling, and she's going to be wonderful. She hasn't been wonderful ever. There's not one police organization in California that will back her. I don't think there's one vote in the country, but there's a lot of things that she doesn't do in her home state because she was so terrible as Attorney General. She was voted one of the worst leftist senators of all time, and she's done nothing as vice president. So I just implore you, do the homework. You don't have to like either candidate. You just have to like their politics. You have to like what they stand for. All right? You have to know. Do your homework, and I give you full respect. And you vote for who you want. You go in that booth, you pull the trigger. You pull the trigger for whoever you want. But if you're sitting on the sideline, you walk in that day and go, I don't really care. It doesn't matter. It does matter, folks. 4 years ago, you paid a lot less for your food, your health care, your car insurance. I'm telling you, all of this has gone up due to the policies here right now. And the thing about, Joe was he was supposed to be the moderate guy. He was so beholden to them. I don't think he's even run the country for 4 years. So they just do whatever they want. This maniac actually, I think, could believe she could run the country, and her ideals are so left of center. We'll never recover. I'm telling you. You guys think I'm crazy? Watch where your gas goes. Watch where your food bills go. She's for Medicare for all. I said, oh, great, healthcare from the government. Does anybody really want the government to give you healthcare and manage your healthcare? Ask the veterans of this country if they think you should have healthcare given to you by the government. And why do I got to pay for somebody else's healthcare? I'm paying arm and a leg for my own. I got to pay for somebody else's and then get crappy care on top of it? Come on, folks. Wake up. Do the homework. Your vote absolutely matters. I went through a lot of life thinking, no, president's just a formality. It's not. Whether he's, all empowering or not, the president sets the tone. I'm telling you, go back to 4 years ago. Gas was $1.87. You're paying $3.60, $3.20s right now. I'm telling you, food is up 40% just because I food shop every week. I'm telling you, do the math, pay attention, and don't think it's insignificant, doesn't matter. Everybody's vote matters. Just do the goddamn homework. Watch the videos. Know what these candidates are really all about. That's all. Don't get into the name calling. Don't get into all the other bullshit. Just pay attention. That's it. My 10 minutes is up, and we're going to get the show started. So Frankie's hanging in there. Jeff just popped up. I don't see my dad. He might be taking a break this week. Who knows? Yes, Frankie, I did see that video. Yeah, he was $180, and then he did it again. It was $400. Again, healthcare is absolutely insane. So as we get closer to the election, we're going to do more and more. We might even do something right before the election, do a whole show on it just to have some fun with it. In the meantime, we're going to have some fun right now. I'm glad you all tuned in. We got a lot to get to. I want to talk about Aaron Judge. I want to talk a lot of football. We got NFL Hall of Famers to talk about. We got Sam Rosen retires. I got tons of stuff to talk about. I got lots of stuff to run past my buddies. So let's get it started by bringing on my buddy, my friend of 40 years and the co-host of the Hard Rocket Sports Show, the sexiest man on his side of the screen and runs one hell of a barbecue, my good buddy, Mr. Jeff. What's up, man?
What's up, man?
What's up, pal? How's your week?
I was having some speaker issues.
You having speaker issues?
Yeah, no, it's all good now.
Oh, good.
I was don't worry about it. Put it that way.
All right.
It's all good.
Jeff, so let's start the show like we always do. Frankie's hanging in. We're going to get him right on this show because I want to get into Aaron Judge and stuff. And I know you wanted to speak about it. So I want to get Frankie right up there. We're going to do a little hockey with Sam Rosen. And then we got a shitload of football to get to. And I got a few standard questions I want to throw at you. So, but Jeff, let's start the show like we do every week. Jeff, how was your week?
It was good. You know why it was good, Tom?
Why?
Because it was. And I'm glad Frankie, he's waiting in the wings there.
He's right there waiting.
All right, good. I just wanted to say before he gets on, so he can't stop me. The 72 Dolphins are the second best team in the NFL, and every week that goes by is another week that they haven't won. Keeping them down. Got to keep them down.
Yeah, all right. I'm sure he'll have something to say about it when he pops up.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to have plenty to say now.
I'm sure he will. Let's get him fired up. Let's get him right on the show. And that's our good buddy, Mr. Frank. He's coming on the show to Jeffrey. Frankie, what's up, brother?
What's up, brothers? How you doing?
What's up, Frankie?
Good.
I can't understand how anybody with simple common sense don't realize that if you are the only undefeated Super Bowl champions in the world, I'm even talking pre-Super Bowl, the only undefeated champions in the world, how are you not the best?
Wait,
how are you not the best?
What's that behind you? What? Look behind. Yeah, that was easy enough. Yeah,
What
point proven.
Again, we'll save that one. We've beaten that one to death. We do have a lot to talk about. So, guys, I got a question for you. All right, I'm gonna start this one off for Frankie since he's the he watches Yankee games every night. But I do want to get Jeff in because he was so into this. Frank, Aaron Judge just hit his 300th homer. I think he's the fastest guy to 300 homers.
Yes.
All of that nonsense that goes with it, Frank. When can we start thinking of Aaron Judge in the realms of the greats? When can you say Aaron Judge could be compared to the Griffeys and the Roos and the Mantles? Is he there yet? Does he need more time? What is your take on Aaron Judge as of right now as a 32-year-old player?
I think it's funny. He's there. He's definitely one of the greats. Now, he's got to go a little bit more to prove. I mean, 300 home runs, awesome. He's got to go a little bit more to prove it. A couple more years of this constant, production will definitely solidify him. I think he needs a couple more years because you got to remember his early years. Now, here's what a lot of people don't realize. I'm a big Judge guy. I love Judge. I think when it's all said and done, he's going to displace Babe Ruth as the greatest player ever. But what a lot of people don't realize is in his early years, he struggled. Now, you talk about the first to 300, that shows his improvement because Gary Sanchez was the first to 100 over Judge.
Okay.
And now Judge picked it up since then and just blowing the doors off Gary Sanchez, obviously. But I think he needs a couple more years of the constant production he's going with. And not even at this level. If he goes, even if he slips a little, which is going to naturally happen, he's still going to be one of the greatest players ever.
Okay.
He can throw the ball. He can field the ball. He hits with contact now. He's seeing the whole field. It's just the game has really slowed down for him.
Could I say something there?
Go ahead,
brother.
All right. While I hear you, and I had this conversation years ago when Judge hit 52, and I asked my boss, do you think he's going to be one of the best of all time or the greatest of all time? And he was like, at the time, it's like, oh, yeah, most definitely. But my question to you, Frank, the reason I'm bringing this up is because I asked this question years ago. One, injuries, okay? He seems to be injury prone, and that's sad because he lost I don't know how many games due to injury. But, Tom, if you bring that up a little bit more, I can see right now, I think it was 112, 102, 28. That was a strike shortened year. 148, 106, and on top of it, he's 32 years old. How many more years of solid production would you have to get out of him to get close to 600 home runs? And how many is he going to need to get into the Hall of Fame? Because 300 home runs nowadays isn't that much.
I would tell you, for me, the one thing that's glaring, obviously, it's the games. Games bothers me because he's had 1, 2, 3 seasons where I would say it was close to a full year. His 25 year, his 29, and his 30. He's gotten injured the last couple of years. Now, these aren't injuries where you'd say he pulled a hamstring or an oblique. I think last year was the wall. He broke his toe running to a fence.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, a couple of years ago he got hit in the hand. So to me, the biggest glare is the 988 hits. Like, he's got to get over 2,000 hits before we can even have this conversation. So
and that's why I said he needs a few more years of productivity, because, like you said, his early years, and that's why I brought up the Gary Sanchez thing. His early years, don't get me wrong, he was still a great player, but he wasn't. The best ability is availability. They always say that, and he wasn't, and that kind of put his productivity down. If he has a few more years like he's having in the last, like you say, 3 or 4 years, if he continues that, gets over 2,000 hits, gets to around that 500 home run range, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
He's
Jeff.
also popped 100 RBIs 3 times.
That's another one that stands out for me. The other thing that stands out for me, he's never gotten close to 200 hits in a season. Now,
177 is his highest.
Yeah, but again, to me, you get to 190s, get to
real quick, the RBI thing.
Yep.
When he hit 62, he had 131. 62 times 2 is 120. So I understand they pitch around him a lot. They might walk him a lot. So you take 62 from 131. He's really not knocking in many runs, but he doesn't get many chances. I know,
you don't.
They walk him 3 times in a game or something.
Yes, yeah. I mean, that's something that's really kind of happened more this year. I think the other problem I have with it, guys, is that his postseason is not great. He's got a 219 postseason average, which bothers me a little bit. So, I would say this: I think Judge is the best player in baseball right now.
Let me comment real quick. The postseason numbers.
Okay.
Okay, are you saying he's batting what, 219?
You want to see his postseason numbers? Hold on.
Oh, just real quick, because
I believe it's 219. Yeah, it's right here. Here it is.
How many times have they played one
his
series?
His batting average in the postseason is 211.
Well, never mind that. How many years have they played one series and out? They haven't had many runs with him on the team.
Let's see. In 2017, he played 3 series. In 2018, he played 2 series. In 2019, twice. He had 2 series. 20 was 21. 2021, they got beat by Boston.
Oh, okay. I thought there were a couple times more than that. They were 3 and out.
No.
I'm sorry, 1 series and out. I shouldn't say 3 and out.
Yeah. Here's it's all right here. So 2017, he played 3 series. 2018, they played 2 series. 2019, 2 series. 20 was 2 series. 21 was only 1. And then 22, they played 2.
So he's never been to the World Series either.
No, he's come Game 7, I think, twice, but never made it. No.
Now, if you look at like a Derek Jeter, he was batting what, 310 in the playoffs?
Yeah, probably.
He was batting above 300 in the playoffs. I mean, and people say, well, he had more opportunities. Well, more opportunities also to make outs.
No,
the average. You know what I mean?
I agree. I also think that obviously Jeter played on a much, realistically, while Jeter was a Hall of Famer and an all-time great, he might not have been the best player on some of those teams. I mean, I think Bernie was a more talented player. I think obviously Alex Rodriguez was a better talented player than Derek Jeter. I don't think they were better players overall because of Jeter's ability to be in the right place at the right time, and his play on the big stage. But for me, Aaron Judge is the best player in baseball now. He needs a couple of more years like this. He's got to get 5 or 6 years where you could say he's the best player in baseball. Right now, the last couple, I would say he's the best player in baseball. I mean, I don't know what happened to Mike Trout at this point in time. I mean,
he's just injury prone. He's hardly ever playing.
Yeah. So
he had surgery again.
Yeah. He's another season that's missed. Now, I mean, Mike Trout might be the best player in baseball I've ever seen that will go down as a disappointment. And the guy's been a 3-time MVP, but he's missed more time than he's played, I think, at this point.
Yeah, he has.
I think we lost Jeff.
We lost Jeff. Yeah, it looks like that.
But Frankie, yeah, I mean, I think we can both agree with Frank Catalano that Judge may be the best player in baseball, but I can't put him in the Mickey Man. Like they were talking about him and Mickey Mantle today on the Fan. I didn't listen too long, but they were talking about great players and is he better, more talented? And I don't know if you can compare it. His Jeff's back now. Okay, Jeff.
I agree with what you said, Tom, and I said it too as well. He's had like the last 3, maybe even 4 years. He's probably been one of the top players or one of the best players in MLB. If he does that another 3 or 4 more years, we can start talking about Mickey Mantle, Babe Ruth, and them guys. But you got to see it for a few more years. It's like you said, you got to hope he doesn't revert back to the early Judge where he's getting hurt and he's not showing up, not able to play, and all that other stuff that goes with it.
I agree.
I don't like that, man. I'm not saying that he's never going to be an all-time great, but I think comparing him to the grades is kind of premature, even if he does another 3 or 4 years. I think he's going to have to be somebody that really turns it on for the rest of his career.
I agree.
And establishes some big numbers. I mean, look at it this way, Frankie. It's 2024. 4 seasons ago was 2020. Did he do enough in the last 4 seasons to to become one of the all-time greats?
Well, look at this, guys. Look at this. He's been up. So now he's 9 years in the league, right? I would say he's had 3 great years out of those 9, right? His 25 year was 52 homers. Not bad years here, but only 112 games, only 102 games. Then obviously, his 2022 season, it's 62 homers, and then this year. So to me, he's only had 3 seasons where you could say they're Hall of Fame type numbers out of 9. So while I think he's a great player and might be the best player in the game at this moment, I can't put him in that category.
He's still got something to prove.
Also a record, Tom.
Well,
He's an American League record.
100%. And I give him props for it, Jeff. And
you know what I mean?
No. I'll tell you that in the last 5 years, he may be the best player in baseball, but I can't put him in the Ruth, Gehrig, Mantle, Mays, Ted Williams category when out of 9 seasons, he's only had 3 or 4 where you could actually say they were great seasons, and the other ones he missed half a good part of the season. I can't put him in that category yet. Now, maybe he's got to run the table. I would say 3 to 4, maybe 4 or 5 more years like he's doing right now. He's a Hall of Famer, and he's an all-time great. Right now,
3 at the minimum, like you say, 5, 6. Then you start, like you say, you start talking about Mantle, Ruth, and them guys.
I think it comes down to. I always say this: if you're not considered in the top 5 for sure in your era, best player for a period of time, you can't be in the Hall of Fame. No. That's why I think Don Mattingly is Hall of Fame. And for 6 years, Don Mattingly was the best player in baseball, bar none. So I sneak Don Mattingly in, and he's not in. So I can't put Judge in that when he's had 3 years, Jeff, out of 9.
I agree, Tom. Me personally, I agree, and I think any talk of comparing him to some of these other guys, Ruth,
it's premature.
It's very premature, even with 3 or 4 years. It took him 9 years in the league to get to 300 home runs.
Yeah.
So you got to figure, you have to almost double it. Say another 7 years of high production to get to 600 home runs. I don't think that he could go that many years without suffering some kind of injury or dealing with some kind of injury. I mean, listen, I would love nothing more than to see, especially for home runs, to me is synonymous with the New York Yankees because of the hitters that they've had: Mantle, Maris, Ruth, Gehrig. Just those guys alone, Jackson to an extent, Reggie Jackson to an extent. The home run is a Yankee. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would love to see it. Yes, I would love to see it. I just don't know if he has, if he could do it.
Yeah, and Frank Catalano, I agree. Right now, bottom line, he is the best player in baseball today. That, for sure. Maybe for the last 3 or 4 years, looking back, he's probably been the best player in baseball. But he missed a lot of time in those 4 years. And if he stays healthy and he plays 140 games a year and he collects 40 homers a year the rest of the way, he'll get my vote for the Hall of Fame. But today, if his career ended after 9 years, he would not be a Hall of Famer to me. He would have to fall short.
Yeah, absolutely. He's like I said, I think he's gonna be one of the greatest.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, he's got a few more years to prove it. He's got to prove it and be consistent. And not only consistent. Listen, home runs they're gonna drop off. Hits are gonna drop off. He's gonna get older. I agree with you, Jeff. But if he can stay consistent and be out there and be available and hit the ball like he's hitting it now, the hits, if you notice, are coming up higher and higher. And like you said, RBIs, that's bullshit to me because I watched them walk him 3 times with 1 out, runner at second and third, and load the bases up not to pitch to him.
No, listen, walks, intentional walks do speak volumes, without a doubt. You can't take that away from him. But it's a power number. If you hit 60 home runs, but you have 88 RBIs, you're not. Anytime that you get an RBI is because
you're hitting the home run.
You're hitting a home run. You're not bringing in other runs. That to me should be into consideration. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but that's me.
What a lot of people forget about Judges too is he's not one of these guys like a Ricky Henderson, where he can hit the ball and beat out an infield hit. His hits are solid hits. He's not getting any infield hits. He's not fast enough.
No.
So his hits that he has are solid. And I agree with you, Tom. If he gets to 2,000 hits, knowing the fact that he can't really run and his hits are hits, then you got to put him in the hole.
Yeah, I think again, I won't even start the conversation until he gets to 2,000 hits. I'm sorry, you can't put it. I mean, and I know they've done it with other guys. He may slide into the Hall of Fame with less. It's all that possible, but I can't have a serious conversation about him being in the conversation of the all-time greats until he gets those kind of numbers. And if it falls short because he started a little late and he had a lot of injuries, then you fall short. It doesn't diminish your career. It just I can't move you into that realm.
Let me ask you this. Let's just say he's probably not going to do it this year because there's not enough time. All right. Let's say next year he sets the major league home run record for home runs in a season.
Are we talking his record or Barry Bonds' record?
Barry Bonds. He breaks the Barry Bonds, Roger Maris, well, however you want to look at it.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Okay. Let's say he sets the new Major League Baseball record for home runs in a season.
Okay.
Now he holds the American League record and the Major League Baseball record for home runs in a season. What are your thoughts then?
Again, records are great, but I want career. You can have spectacular. Listen, there are guys who have had spectacular years. Brady Anderson hit 50 homers one year. I'm not putting Brady Anderson in any Hall of Fame.
No, well, George Foster has also hit over 50 home runs.
What
else did he do?
I think it's great, but when you have 1 or 2 or 5 years that where you're great, but the other 14 or the other 9 or 10 are average, I can't do it. It's got to be great years, Jeff. Don't get me wrong, but it's got to be consistency. So at the end of the day, you need to see 40 home runs a year. Yeah, if you get a 62 and a 65 or 55 or 59, that's gravy. But no, if he has an average career the rest of the way, but has 1 year where he hits 75 home runs, to me, it's not putting him. To me, it doesn't put him in the Hall of Fame. To me, that's not enough.
It goes back to the old saying, Tom, and you notice because you played sports, you understand this. 1 game don't make a season, and 1 season don't make a career.
Yeah, but Jeff, when it does though, if you have a couple of Hall of Fame years.
Yes.
Inside a really, 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 really good career, which he's heading toward, if he stays healthy, then I think that's where the 73 homers or 62 homers, to me, at this point, I believe he's got the record. Like I don't pay attention to Barry Bonds at 77, whatever it is at this point, 73. I don't pay attention to it. So if he were to beat his own record, or if he even, like you said, Jeff, he gets to 70 for any reason, man, oh man, I think he puts him in another category, but if he has that year, next year, and then the next 3 years after that, he's hitting 25 homers, he's playing 100 games, then to me, it kind of diminishes it.
Listen, I hear you. I understand what both of you are saying. Don't get me wrong. And it's a slippery slope because overall, the talent level overall in baseball is not the same as it was 20 30 years ago. If Judge was playing 30 years ago, maybe nobody even compares him.
Yeah.
To Mantle.
I actually disagree with that, Jeff. If he was playing 30, 40 years ago, I think he would be a monster. And I'll tell you why.
He might, but it's the
Pitchers
numbers
nowadays, you didn't have, even 5 years ago, you didn't have pitchers throwing 90 miles an hour and then an 80 mile an hour cut and a seam with a splitter with all these other pitches. Pitches have developed so much nowadays. Back in the day, what you have? You had a curveball, screwball, maybe you got a knuckleball pitcher. Nobody was pitching up that high in the speed. You got guys coming out of the bullpen throwing 100 miles an hour.
Well,
I mean, and then the other problem is, back in the day, you faced that same pitcher 7, 8, 9 innings where you saw him 3 or 4 times. You got used to what he was throwing, what he was doing. Nowadays, when they pitch 4 innings, then you're facing 3 other pitchers that can throw hard. It's harder to hit the ball now than ever before.
Yeah, listen, you're right, but here's the difference. Everything has changed in baseball.
Oh yeah.
Now they're using a pitch count, okay, for the pitches because they don't want them to be tired by the time it gets to fucking May. All right, that's one thing. Second, even home runs. While you get a couple guys that hit monster numbers every year, they're not doing it consistently. Like
because the pitching is too good.
Well, there maybe, but there's also guys that end up topping out their career at 300 home runs. There's pitchers that when then their career's over, they have 215 wins. They're not anywhere near 300. The numbers of great players and performers is not the same as it was when some of these other guys got into the Hall of Fame.
You're totally right. I totally agree because, like you say, it's so hard to compare this era of baseball to the Mickey Mantle, Roger Maris, all of them guy era because the pitching is different. The game is different. Like you said, they got pitch counts. You're not going to get pitchers that are going to pitch the amount of innings. I mean, Nolan Ryan pitched a full game almost every time he pitched. And he had 20, 30 wins. You're not going to see that anymore because they're pulling the guys out in the 5th, 6th inning, and they're either getting no decision or they're getting the loss. They're not even getting the loss. They're 90% of the time they're getting no decision.
The term pitch count started with that kid on the Yankees. What was it, Hobart Chamberlain?
Yeah, Java.
And then there was Strasburg on the not the Mets, the
Washington Nationals.
Washington. And then all of a sudden he's on a pitch count. He can't do no more than 80 pitches.
Yeah, I think Java's rules were a downfall for baseball. Listen, guys, I got a whole bunch of topics, and I want to get through them in the next half hour so we can go to the Hall of Fame stuff because I got a lot of Hall of Fame stuff to run through, you guys. Okay. So I want to run through these. Give me your comments. We won't stick around too long on any one of them. We can always come back to one of them, but I got a whole bunch of these I want to throw at you guys. So first I want to throw at you, Jeff, one that we should have talked about a couple weeks ago, and we missed it. Give me your – I don't know if we did it last week, but give me your quick recollections on the day Thurman Munson died and what Thurman Munson was as a player.
Oh, well, Thurman Munson. I remember being in the car with my mother and father, and we were going to the doctor. I think my dad had to go to the doctor. And it came over the radio. It was a nasty gray kind of day.
Yep.
And they said that Thurman Munson had died in a small plane crash. And I remember, I was maybe 12, 13, something like that. Mm-hmm. And I remember it hit me hard. I don't remember crying over it. I remember my mother being upset and everything because we used to watch the Yankees a lot more than I do now. We did it as a family back then.
Yeah.
And it sucked. And I really, honestly, I did not realize back then what his loss would mean to the Yankees, to be honest with you.
Turning point of that team.
A little bit on the cusp of being too young and not really understanding the ins and outs of the game at that point in time, to see what kind of a player he was. But as you look back at it now, it was definitely a hole and a half that they had to fill. And to lose a player like that in his prime, who goes into it and gets into a plane crash and dies? You know what I mean? Man, it was a hard thing to digest. I also, and then I'll hand it over to you again. I remember watching Reggie Jackson cry like a baby in the outfield on TV.
Yep. Sure, that Monday night game. Sure.
And supposedly him and Thurman Munson did not like one another, and there he was in the outfield crying like a baby. I'll never forget that. And he was just standing there holding his head like this, and you could see he was visibly upset, man. It shook a lot of people. What a loss.
Absolutely. Frank, you're a big Yankee fan. What do you remember about that day?
I'll tell you, I came in from outside. I don't know if I was playing or what we were doing, so long ago. And all I remember about that day was my mother was sitting on the couch crying, and I was like, "What happened? What's going on?" And she had told me that he passed away. It was the shock. It was bad. He was at that time. He was my favorite Yankee player. I loved Thurman Munson. He was my guy. I still, when I go to Yankee games, wear a Thurman Munson jersey. Still to this day, he was my guy. Loved him. It broke my heart when he died. It was like, but like Jeff said, you kind of was, you were 12, 13, 14 years old. You were a little young to really grasp what was going on. My mother was crying. And to hit back on what you were saying about Reggie Jackson, they hated each other. They respected the hell out of each other. They hated each other. Reggie Jackson said it was the wrong move to make Thurman Munson the captain. He should have been the captain. And it created waves in the locker room between the two of them. And like you said, he just couldn't handle it.
Frank Catalano wrote about Rick Dempsey crying. Now that you mention that, I remember that. And Frank, Thurman Munson didn't pass away. Thurman Munson got killed.
Right.
And that there's a little bit of a difference. God forbid a player or anybody has a heart attack, that's passing away. Right. He got killed in an accident, man. That made it even worse.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Could have been avoided. Yeah. Listen, to me, Thurman Munson was one of the best players of his era. I would definitely say in the top 3 catchers. Most people put Bench ahead of him. I probably would too. But Thurman was right there. Fisk, in an era of really good catchers, Thurman Munson was a heck of a player. And a couple more seasons, who knows? Maybe he's a Hall of Famer. But as an all-time Yankee, Thurman Munson will always be one of my favorite players. He's one of those guys that you just, you didn't appreciate it till afterwards, and you realize how hard he played every single week, every single day. He played his ass off. He was gruff and all that, but he was a hell of a hitter. And he's a guy who's a catcher batting third in that lineup. I mean, that's just wasn't done back in those days. So
if you remember, if I remember right, maybe you guys could correct me if I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. I believe there was also talk of him moving to first base. Not too far after that they were talking that maybe eventually he'll become the first baseman. I don't remember where he stood in the timeline with Chris Chambliss, if Chris Chambliss was a free agent or he was close to retiring.
I think that was Chambliss's. I don't think Chambliss was on the 79 team, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
he was on the 79 team.
Yeah,
I thought that was Jim Spencer, and I thought Chambliss at some point moved on to the Braves.
Correct.
So
when Chambliss moved on to the Braves, that's when they were talking about, because Munson was having so much trouble with his legs, moving him to first base, and then he died.
Yeah. Actually, the big talk at that time was that he was going to go back and play in Cleveland, where he was from. So that was to be closer to home. Let me just take a quick look at that. Yeah, you're right. He was on that team. He left in '80 to go to the Braves. And they came back.
Yeah. He was on the Braves for 6 years, and then came back as a Yankee.
Yeah.
1988. I think he signed one of those contracts to retire as a Yankee.
Probably.
Yes.
He is now 75 years old, man. Wow.
Yeah. In his second career as a Yankee coach, he coached all those years with Torre and was a hitting coach.
Right. He was a coach for a while. Man.
He was a batting coach for a while. Yeah.
All right. Let's move on a little bit.
Jim Spencer was like a bench player, wasn't he?
He was actually, Jim Spencer was a good glove with a decent stick. One of those guys who was like a kind of a platoon player on those 77s, 78, 79 teams. But Jim Spencer wasn't a bad player.
No, I'm not saying he was. I'm not saying he was at all. But I mean, I don't think Jim Spencer was ever full-time Yankee player. I mean, he was on the Yankees.
Yeah,
he was like a platoon player.
Correct. Yeah, he played, but he wasn't the full-time starter. So I would agree with that. All right, let's move on a little bit. We got plenty to do. Let's see. I got one for you guys. We did this one already, so let's erase that. Sam Rosen's about to retire. Most of us who are Ranger fans, I go back 40 years or better, in mid 70s with Sal Red Light Messina and the Big Whistle, Bill Chadwick. But Sam Rosen, to me, is the voice of the Rangers. That's the guy I'll always think of when I think of the Rangers. I actually met Sam Rosen a bunch of times. My first time I met Sam Rosen was at the urinal in Madison Square Garden, and he couldn't have been a nicer guy.
Were you in a rush to shake hands with him?
He did not shake hands, but he was a fantastic guy.
You ain't gonna wash your hands. Shake hands with me, man. Come on.
What a nice guy. But every time one of these type of guys retires, it makes me feel old. Marv Albert, kind of got pushed out. He's gone. That's a guy I grew up listening to in the Knicks games. And, obviously the booth of the Yankees, those guys are all dead now. Madden and
Sterling, right.
Yeah. So, Frankie, I'll start with you on this one. When you think of Sam Rosen, everybody obviously thinks of 1994 and this one will live forever. Do you have a quick memory or what's your thought on Sam Rosen retiring?
It's like you said, it's the same. I thought the same thing you thought. I was like, damn, am I really that old? Because like you said, he was the voice for so long, the Ranger games, so long. It's like your childhood is going away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And fast. But yeah, I have a lot of great memories. He was, like you said, the Matteau and all of that.
Oh yeah.
Just it's sad that he's going to retire. We understand why. I mean, he's done it for so long, but for us, it was like our whole lifetime. You feel like it was our whole lifetime.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. Jeff, I know you're not as much of a hockey fan anymore, but there was a period where you were dead in it. What you have a quick thought on Sam Rosen and him retiring?
Of course, man. He was synonymous with the Rangers. When you put the Rangers on and you heard that voice, they just went hand in hand with each other. It's like when you listen to like when a game came on ESPN and it'd be an announcer that you didn't like, and you're like, oh, like where the fuck is so and so? How come I gotta listen to this guy all night?
Yeah.
And then that's just like it was like being with somebody you knew because you heard him so much. Him and John Davidson, they were an incredible team with each other.
Shoot the puck, Barry. Shoot the puck.
It was just I don't think that a lot of people really take into consideration the announcer.
Oh no!
Eventually, it's one day that you're not going to hear them no more. And when we were all kids, the Yankee announcers, Phil Rizzuto, Bill White, and Frank Messer.
Yep.
And like these guys, like who the fuck was Frank Messer? He came from Baltimore or something, but he was a Yankee announcer, and that's all that mattered. And it was just like being home, watching the TV at home, wherever you are. It's a shame but these guys are all getting older, man. Things have changed.
Yeah, Frank, I think Kenny Albert's going to get the job. I think he's, I think it's good. Kenny Albert's already doing Ranger radio for like 20 something years. If you can imagine that, I think Kenny Albert gets the gig with Micheletti. It hasn't been the same, but the one thing I'll say about announcers before we move on is I don't think you notice the announcer unless they're bad. To me, turning on Sam Rosen and JD or Madden and Summerall, you didn't necessarily tune in because they were doing the game, but you enjoyed the game and you didn't complain. Like today, I'd rather watch some of these games with the volume off.
Some of the guys,
yeah. So I think
Very
when you get that like Rosen and you look forward to listening to him, and now I would say Rosen, Doc Emmerich was fantastic, and obviously I'm a huge fan of JD. Those guys, when you tuned in, you didn't go, I don't want to hear this guy. Could you please shut up? I want to hear watch the game. You enjoyed it, and that's the difference between those guys and the Tony Romos of the world, or the Matt Olsons of the world, who are just too much word salad for me.
Yeah.
Now I liked Dave Maloney. Now I thought Maloney did a nice job on color. I liked him. I don't think Micheletti does a bad job. I liked Maloney better. Plus, Maloney was my favorite Ranger growing up. So
you know who I heard was in the running for the job?
Who?
You're not going to believe it when I tell you.
Oh boy, here we go.
Okay.
Don't say Don LaGreca.
Zach Wilson and Bo Nix, because neither one of them are going to do dick this year in Denver. So by next year, they're going to be looking for a job.
Oh boy. Here we go. All right, so let's move on.
You got to strike at Frank once in a while. You just
no. He's laying in the weeds to get you, so you might as well.
I got it. Yeah. Got to strike first.
You got to snipe him a little bit before you get again. Hard Rocket Sports. That's Frank Geffre on the top. He's joining us this week. Of course, my partner in crime, Mr. Jeff Towinski, and we're here every Thursday night, 7 to 9 o'clock or thereabouts, depending on the week. So thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. We got a lot to get to, so sit tight. We can still have more to go. Hey guys, real quick, Jeff. Jim Harbaugh made an offer to somebody to be on his coaching staff, and this is just one of those guys who never wants to seem to go away. And I just got to say, when is enough enough? When do we have to stop hearing the name Colin Kaepernick?
I forget. When he's dead.
He actually said
That's about it.
He's still hanging out there, still holding out the hope that a team will offer him a job as a quarterback, let alone as a coach. I mean,
Colin Kaepernick has proven, and this is all he has to say. You know what? I don't want to play in the NFL. So what did I do? I voided the last years of my contract, and I made myself totally unsignable by doing everything that I did. Even though that by today's standards, they would probably take him in a fucking heartbeat.
Oh, absolutely.
Because he says, I'm a man and I go to the men's bathroom. So they would probably take him in a heartbeat. The guy just doesn't want to do anything in the NFL. There's nothing wrong with that. If you don't want to be bothered no more, just say, listen, it's done. It's over with. I can't be bothered. And walk away. Stop saying that you're still waiting for a contract. How old is he now anyway? He's got to be, what,
36
years old. It's over, bro. It's fucking over.
Yeah, it was over 8 years ago.
All the years. Last year, all of the quarterbacks that were going down like dominoes the last couple of years, and nobody called you. You got to be blind to not know that nobody wants you. It's done. It's over. It's over.
Yeah, Frank, he settled the lawsuit, which I didn't realize, saying that the NFL colluded to keep him out of the league. Which, by the way, I don't doubt, but he actually settled in 2019, a big settlement for that. So
did he get like $10 million?
I think so, yeah. But Frank, let me ask you a question. Does this stunt, I'm going to call it, does it, with all the stuff that's going on with Harbaugh at Michigan, like he's not going to open day in Michigan, he's been, I think he's suspended for like 20 years from college football right now, or 10 years. He's got like this really crazy suspension. But Frankie, do you think this hurts Jim Harbaugh's standing and his? I don't know about his legacy. I'm not crazy about his legacy, but what do you think this does to Jim Harbaugh when he wants to bring Colin Kaepernick in as a coach, when he doesn't show up in Michigan after winning the title? What does that do to him?
Like I said, I think it tarnishes it to an extent because, like you said, it shows like almost poor judgment. Like you said, you're suspended for 100 years now from college, so you got the pros. I understand that when you were coach and Kaepernick was your quarterback, you guys had some chemistry, you went to some championships. I get all that, but that was back then. Let it go. Don't bring the circus. Don't bring the clowns back into the circus.
That is the best way to say it. So yeah, guys, you know what? Let's stay on the football topic right now. J.J. McCarthy now out for the season on a meniscus tear. Jeff, let me ask you this question. Is that a good thing for him and the Vikings? Teams too often rush these guys onto the field. Does this force him a year in the playbook, a year on the sideline, a year to grow up a little bit? Or is this going to stunt his growth, do you think?
I think a little bit of both, Tom. I mean, I can't see how it's going to help him grow up when he's healing. Okay, he has nothing to do other than to sit back and watch. But at least if he was an option, if there was a blowout in the fourth quarter and you want to put him in for a few minutes just so that he could maybe get a taste of a live game, it's one thing. But now everything goes another year. Now you're not going to know what he's going to do for at least a year. Suppose he played some point in time over the course of this season and you found out that he's not the answer. Now you could at least plan going into next year. Now, all of these plans, you got Sam Darnold as your quarterback, who's actually doing pretty good from what I hear. But it's Sam Darnold, who's never really caught on with another team. So, like, I would be a little concerned over that. That's one thing. And then you drafted this guy. This was your first-round pick. And now he's injured. And now injuries, nobody has control over injuries. I understand that. But, like, you just don't know what he is. And you can't know what he is until the year 2025. So, it may put all your plans, push them back a year. Nobody wants to see anybody get injured. Although I do understand now he's going to have to sit and watch an NFL game from the sidelines and understand it a little bit more. But there ain't nothing like being hands-on, I feel. Just a matter of when they put you in. And, but this year, he ain't going in at all this year. So that much we know.
Frank, what's your take on J.J. McCarthy? Is it a good thing or a good thing that he's getting a year to kind of learn the game? Or do you think that this is going to stunt his growth?
I actually think it's a good thing. I mean, look at Aaron Rodgers. Look at Jordy Love. They sat behind quarterbacks. And now I'm not saying Sam Darnold, Brett Favre, or Aaron Rodgers, but they sat behind. He's going to have some mobility. He's going to be able to play, but the pressure's off him now. Like you said, he doesn't have anything to prove. Now he's going to sit there and he's going to learn the game, learn to read defenses, learn the schemes, learn the plays, learn what they want to run. He's going to learn all of that and absorb. He'll see him on the clipboard. He'll have his headset in, and he'll be watching what's going on. And for Minnesota, it's going to help them because now you don't have that court. Like, all you need is Donald to have a couple bad games, and they're going to be, oh, we want him, and we want that. And like you said, Tommy, they're going to rush him in. Now it's like, okay, we're stuck with this, and let's move forward. I don't think it's not a great thing. Injuries suck, and like Jeff said, you're not going to get any playing time. But the amount of learning and seeing the schemes and all of that is going to really enhance his play when he does get back out there.
Okay. All right. Let's move on.
For what they're paying these guys and what the fans are paying for per ticket. If they got a new quarterback, the fans probably don't want to hear, well, he's going to sit out this year. They want to see this guy play. Why did you draft him number one? You drafted him in the first round. Now we don't even get to watch him play. And I'm just talking before an injury. So, the fans are a little impatient. They push for it too. While some people may think and feel that extra year sitting watching the game on the sideline is important, imagine the fan base when, like you've said, Frank, when a couple series in a row, never mind games, because now it's not even about games in the NFL. It's a series or two. Yeah. They go the wrong way. People are going to be looking for somebody's head before the second period. You know that. So
I think Sam Darnold's going to surprise a lot of people this year because he's not, even though, listen, he's not a great quarterback. Nobody's going to say that. But he's never had a great situation. He's never had a good system. He's never had good receivers. I mean, one of us could quarterback Minnesota and throw to Jefferson all day long. He's never had a situation like that. So he's going to be a little bit better than people expect. He's not going to be Tom Brady. He's never going to be that. But I think he could be a manageable quarterback.
Well, let me ask you this question. What do you if I gave you their schedule right now, would you guys be comfortable giving me their win-losses for the year?
Tom, before you do that, never mind that. I just read something on ESPN where they were praising the shit out of Geno Smith. It was like the 10 best quarterbacks, or when they do the categories, strength, arm strength, accuracy, and this, that, and the other thing, and they give you their top 10. And everybody's putting Geno Smith in a lot of these categories. The guy played for, 10 years? It looked like he was never going to come off the bench. And now he's one of the, everybody looks at him as a great option at quarterback. Maybe Sam Darnold's time has come for that. Who knows?
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I think he's going to surprise people. Let's see what you got, Tom.
Yeah,
I'm bringing it up right now. Let's see. Okay, here we go. All right, so game one. All right. I'm going to go Frankie, Jeff, and Tom. Just wins and losses, guys. Simple and easy. Opening week at New York Giants. Minnesota win or loss.
I actually think the Giants are going to win that.
Okay. Jeff?
Vikings.
Okay, so Jeff's got to win. I'm giving him the loss. The Giants are home. Week 2, home to San Francisco.
Loss.
Niners.
So 3 losses across the board. Week number 3, home versus Houston.
Loss.
I actually think they'll beat Houston because they're home.
Okay. September 29th, celebrating my birthday at Green Bay.
Loss.
Yeah, loss.
They got a tough schedule.
Yep, here we go. Okay, now October 6th, this game is, I believe, in London against the New York Jets.
I don't know.
I would say loss.
Traveling, that's hard, but I got to go Jets.
Okay, so I'm going to go 3 losses because I would agree. Another tough one, back home against the Detroit Lions.
Loss.
Okay. They travel out to the Rams on the next week.
Loss.
I go win with that one.
I'm going to go with Jeff on that one. I'm going win on that one. Let's see.
Isn't that like the Sunday night game or the Monday night game?
The Rams? It's a Thursday night game. Yes,
Thursday
night. Yep. Okay, the following week versus Indianapolis. I'm going W there.
W there.
All right, put me down for a win. Indianapolis may be a different team this year if that quarterback stays healthy. I don't know.
Okay, then they on the road at Jacksonville.
I think a win.
I think a win.
Okay, so we got 3 wins across the board. At Tennessee.
Win.
Yeah, win.
Okay. At Chicago.
That's going to be a tough one, man. I'm
That's
going to
a
say
tough one because it's at Chicago.
I'm going to give them a loss, to be honest.
I think I'm going to give him a loss there too because it's at Chicago.
Jeff?
I got to win.
Okay, Jeff's going to win there. Now, again, remember, it's Sam Darnold's the quarterback. The following week, they're home to Arizona.
Win.
Okay, Ray's got a win on that one. The next week, they are home to Atlanta. I'm going on a loss.
Loss.
Okay. Now they're home to Chicago.
Win.
Yeah, win.
Okay, 3 wins across the board. At Seattle.
Win.
I'm going to go loss.
I'm going to go a loss on that one.
Yeah, I think so. And then they end their last 2 games at home versus Green Bay.
Green Bay. Loss.
Yeah, I'm going to go. Green Bay and the Lions are going to be fighting for the division at that point. I think Green Bay.
And the last game is at Detroit. I'm going loss.
Yeah,
Loss.
Okay, so Frankie, you gave them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wins for the season. They're over and under 7.5, by the way. Jeff gave them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wins for the season, and I gave them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wins for the season. So we're
right at the average.
Yeah. So I think the bottom line is this Vikings team with a really good quarterback would have a really tough schedule. I think there's a real good chance that this Viking team wins 5 games.
It's a chance.
I have no faith in Sam
I
Darnold.
can see it.
But not only do I have no faith in Sam Darnold, but I have no faith in Sam Darnold staying healthy all season. And I would have a hard time believing that they'll win more than 5 or 6 games, to be honest.
I mean, if McCarthy didn't get injured and Sam Darnold, they take Sam Darnold out because he's not playing the way they would want. Do you see that being different? Do you think McCarthy?
I think it'll be worse.
No, I agree with Frankie. I think with that schedule that they have, I think they'd be lucky to win 3 or 4 games.
And it's a pretty rough schedule.
That's a very tough schedule, and there's no doubt about it. The way it's perceived, we'll see how it turns out. But I would agree. I would have a hard time believing that they would win more than 4 or 5 games with either quarterback. I just don't have.
Your mic is a little staticky. I don't know if it's me, but
Jeff, Jeff, mic clear with you, or do you hear me staticky?
You're a little staticky. Not bad, but just a little bit.
yeah, just a little.
Okay. Right,
I think McCarthy I think JJ getting hurt was if I'm the head coach of Minnesota. I know this is going to sound crazy. Not that I want to see my players get hurt, but it actually helps me that he got hurt. We got a rough season coming up. We're quite a few players away from competing. I don't have to worry about quarterback controversy. And like you said, hearing the fans crying, put him in, put him in, put him in. Now I don't have that option. I could run with Donald, let the chips fall on my head, get a good high draft pick, get better for next year, and then bring him in with a lot of knowledge of the game.
I take it. I think quarterbacks are rushed too much onto the field too soon.
But you know what? Because they put such a premium on the position.
Oh, absolutely.
And if they got a guy that went out and played half a game and he threw for 200 yards in the second half with 2 touchdowns and he ran for another 45 yards. Now he's the greatest thing since Joe Montana. So now they got to sign him to a major deal and all this other shit. You know the no. Come here. Ninja cat.
You got to guest visitors.
Yeah.
What up, Johnny Collins?
What's up, John Collins? Who is or what needs do the Vikings have for next year? So if they're looking ahead, there goes Frankie. If they're looking ahead at a draft pick for next year, do they need offensive linemen? Do they need a running back? What do you know what they need by any chance?
I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to do a little research. I would tell you probably some help on the defense, I think, is their biggest problem right now. But again, you won't know if quarterbacks you need next year now. So
no, of course not. But listen, dude, he could have went out the first game.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, 4 plays done.
No, 100%. No doubt about it. While we're waiting for Frankie to come back, Jeff, I got a couple of I got a little question for you. If you could wrestle one wrestler if you could go back and wrestle anybody in who would it be?
Wow.
You personally.
Wow. Me personally, who is it that I would want to wrestle?
Yep.
Is it for a belt? Is it just
No? And he could have one match. It could be for any reason. It could be a steel cage. Could be could be the Fijian strap match. Whatever one you want. Who's the guy?
I'm just me.
You're just Jeff Towinski.
So I mean, I'm getting a beating. That's first.
You're getting a beating, but you're going to get to wrestle that guy. Who would it be?
I might as well make it worth my while and go Andre the Giant.
Ah, interesting. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Johnny Cox, by the way, congratulations on your son.
Yes.
I saw a post. That's congrats. And please thank him for his service already. Thank you.
Yeah, and hurry up back, Becca, because we got to fucking start practicing, huh?
Yeah, Frankie's back. Get him back up here. All right, Frankie. Whoopi Goldberg. All right, so let's move on from that one. I know.
I would wrestle the Bella Twins, just saying.
And who would you want?
I would wrestle the Bella Twins. The hell with it. I'm still going to get my ass kicked, but so what? I'll have fun doing it. That's
why I said Andre the Giant, man. If I'm going to get a beating, I'm going to make it worth my while.
Yeah.
But Tom,
really, for me, the Undertaker. I love the Undertaker.
The Macho Man. I would love to.
Macho Man.
I would love to be in the ring for 10 minutes. If I could just run around for 10 minutes, just listen to him talk. But he's one of the great wrestlers.
Dude, that'd be like a cat fighting a snowman. You'd stand no chance whatsoever.
Yeah. Absolutely. The best I can hope for is I run around the ring and just kind of spin around and act retarded, and him just go, I'm not touching this.
He's been dead for what?
Be like 10 the
years?
Ultimate Warrior, run around ring to ring. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, we got to meet, me and Tommy, we went to wrestling in someplace in Travis a couple years ago, and we got to meet Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, who was roughly about our size.
Yeah.
Frankie, I haven't seen you in a while, but I remember you being a little bit taller than me, a little bit bigger than me. But Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, I'm like, this guy's the same size as me and Tommy, like 5'10".
Yeah.
You know, and like a little guy.
Yeah, he wasn't. Yeah, obviously the working out for the ring days isn't the same.
Yeah, of course, yeah,
but yeah, it is surprising sometimes. You know, those guys. You know, it's like anything else. You see some of those guys who played football back in the 70s, and you go, they look like any guy in the street, and then you see these guys today, they're mountains. You know, they're 6'4", 300 pounds, and they're chiseled. It's like, oh my God, these guys are like.
There was a football player that just retired not too long ago, and he stopped working out and everything else, like, football wise. Yep. He was an offensive lineman, and his weight fell. 300s into like the 260s or something.
Look up Chris Snee or Sean O'Hara, 2X Giants, and
look at Mike Golick.
Yeah, look at Golick. Look, the transformation from these guys from the days they played football to now, they're like, it's like you wouldn't even, other than the face, you wouldn't even recognize. Carl Graham, what's up, my brother? Carl Graham, by the way, speaking of which, Carl is back in the football league this year, ready to go up and defend his title. And we've just added the Blackest Sabbaths. I think that's the name of Jeff's team. Yeah. So Jeff has officially entered in. Frankie, you got to reach out to Tony Jordan and a couple of those guys and see if they're in.
Okay, I'll message him once we get off tonight.
Yep. Yeah. Otherwise, we're gonna do a mock draft soon because the draft is coming up in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're doing it on the show, right?
We're doing it right here on the show, boys. We're gonna do the live draft right here on the show.
I hope some people are going to fucking run their mouths this year, man. It was too quiet last year. And say me and Tommy were like,
I think it was early first season. People were just getting used to it.
So what?
We tried to stir it up, but nobody jumped in.
I mean, how many times we said something? I was like, I feel like a dick. And Tommy's like, I know nobody's saying anything. And then one of the guys that we're friends with, he lives in Pittsburgh, and he's in the league, and we would say shit to him, and he would just laugh at us, literally laugh at us.
Yeah, and then steal all our pickups.
Yep.
Oh my God! Every time we put in a bid on somebody, this guy swooped in. He had a better record than us, and they were like, "He has the higher priority." He's like, "Get the fuck out of here!"
Every Monday or Tuesday, Jeff and I were talking. He's like, "We're gonna go after this guy. All right, put a claim in on him. Go ahead, put the claim in on him." And he goes, "Fucking John Mahenko. That fucking John. He got how the fuck did he get him?" I'm like, "I don't fucking know. He got him. What do I know?" Yeah. But so
I thought once they did a pickup, they go to the back. Like if you're pickup number one and you pick up somebody this week, don't you drop back to 5?
No. Just the team that we had. Yeah. Just the team we had. The league rules stated that everybody else leapfrogged us. Yeah. Oh, you need a running back? Okay. Okay. Get on the back of the bus, motherfucker.
Yeah, it's the truth. It's so
It was-
fucking funny. But yeah, with
He
2 weeks
threw
from
after a guy from Philly last year, if you remember.
yes,
And then John just puts in a claim.
yeah,
They get him like, we don't even have a running back. We don't even have one.
I know.
He got him. He's got like 3 of them stashed, and and he gets it.
He got it. But yeah, we'll be doing the draft right here live on the show. I'll have it up on the screen as I do my draft, and we'll whoever can get it up on their screens and wants to be involved, obviously we'll do the draft. I'm gonna do a mock draft next week, even if it's a couple rounds on the show. Whoever wants to participate, I'll put it up there. They can jump in and participate. We'll do a mock one next week, and then the real draft is here because the season's 3 weeks away, fellas.
Yes, can't wait.
Hey, let me ask you. I heard something 2 weeks ago, and I wanted to talk about it last week, but you guys weren't around, so I saved it for this week. Here's it. Let me bring it. Very interesting conversation. So, yes, John, we know you can. We certainly know you can, John. A lot of teams don't play their players, obviously, in the preseason anymore. It's become a big deal. In fact, they're talking about just doing away with the preseason, add the extra game for 18, and just go right into it because teams aren't playing 25% of their roster. What do you think about having preseason games where the quarterback, your starting quarterback or any quarterback, can't be hit in the game? So that way you get the starters to play. You don't have to worry about your quarterback not making out of the preseason, but the beginning of the season should be a little sharper because you're getting more work. Frank Geffre, give me your take on, would you think it's crazy to have these guys play with the red shirt on in the preseason?
No, actually, I don't think that's a crazy. I think that's not a bad idea to get, like you said, the starters in. But you're also going to remember something. You're putting your running back in jeopardy, your wide receiver, all your skill. I like the fact that there's a lot of teams. I've been watching a lot of the training camps and stuff. There's a lot of teams that are starting to drop the 7-on-7s now.
Okay.
They're going with full 11-on-11, scrimmages, walkthroughs, and all of that because it gives the quarterback a more realistic view of 7-on-7. I mean, it's like that's like playing in the street. There's nobody rushing him. He steps back. Yep. He's got his pattern. Who cares? A lot of teams are getting away from that. I think that would be a good idea to redshirt your quarterback, but then you're still putting your wide receivers and running backs in jeopardy. And a team like Minnesota, your whole season really is Jefferson. He's gonna help you win games. Now you put a red shirt on your quarterback, Sam Darnold really gives a shit if he gets hurt, but Jefferson gets his knee blown out on a corner hitting him, you're done.
Well, and that's a good point, but Jeff, what if with the red shirt on, you could play your starting quarterback with your second team offense, and he still gets to work, and he doesn't have to worry about getting hit. So, Jeff, what about doing it that way?
First of all, I like what Carl Graham said, that sometimes serious injuries happen without contact. That's one thing to consider. Aaron Rodgers last year got hit on a sack. It wasn't particularly a hard sack, and it popped his Achilles. People complain about the Pro Bowl and the lack of contact and the lack of hitting in the Pro Bowl. So now you're going to make the preseason just like the Pro Bowl, where you can't hit him, but you can't do that. You can do this. And I think that if you're not going to play him, then don't play him. This is what the NFL wants. They want to add these extra games because it's all about money now. So you're not giving the players time to get loose and to, get acclimated to getting hit. If you could get acclimated to getting hit by a 330-pound man on the blind side anyway, I don't think any preseason game is really going to get you suited for that. But I think that if that's what practice is for at this point in time, and if you're not practicing, or you're practicing up, you should be in a better position. What do they have? 2 preseason games, 3 preseason games?
3 preseason games right now, yeah.
At this point in time, with the talk of an 18th game, is going to be to see who gets cut and who doesn't on the roster. I don't think you're going to have time to play your starters.
And a lot of teams are doing those combined practices too, where like the Dolphins, they had Atlanta come in, they practiced with them, and I kind of like that. It's still giving them the development.
Here's the only problem I have with that. They'll fight like cats and dogs during a practice, but come a game, these teams won't fight.
Well, let me ask you a question, though, and I agree with that. But Frank, I like those practices too in the middle of summer. But the quarterbacks wear the red jerseys,
Right? Exactly.
so you're getting to work. It's the same as doing the preseason. See, if you're going to have preseason games, and I could care less if you did or you don't, right? I really don't care. I think it's a waste of time the way they're doing it now. But if you're going to have preseason games, then make it worthwhile. Because right now you're having preseason games, none of the starters play, and then you get the first 3 or 4 games of the season, and you get shit. You get shit games because teams are using that as their preseason. So to me, either wipe it all out, but I think it would be a decent idea if you could play your quarterback in a situation in those games where he isn't going to get hit. Now, yes, I agree with both you guys, and Carl, that you can run around out there and get plantar fasciitis. You can blow out a knee, pop an Achilles. I get it. That can happen anywhere in practice. All I'm saying is the chances are minimal to getting hurt if you're not getting hit. So to me, I like the idea of putting the quarterbacks in the red jersey. They can go out there with the second team, third team. They can throw the ball to anybody they want, and they are sharper when the season starts than right now because,
So then they might as well just televise joint practices then.
Yeah, but you'll also get in that aspect of what you're saying, Tom, which I'm kind of liking now because I'm starting to think coach-wise, how does that help me?
Yep.
How that helps you is, like, if you've got a wide receiver that's on the bubble and you're not sure if you want to keep him or not keep him, if he's out there and Aaron Rodgers is throwing to him, you know if this guy's going to be able to catch a ball from Aaron Rodgers because he's redshirted and he's playing with the second and third string where he doesn't get that time. He's not getting those reps in practice. You're playing with the first string.
And he's not getting the workout that he would be with an Aaron Rodgers.
Now the coach gets to evaluate this guy. Can he catch Aaron Rodgers' pass?
I'm saying it's not a dumb idea. I'm not saying
do the defensive guys count 5 Mississippi or what?
No. Everybody else plays.
Everybody plays.
When you get to the quarterback, it's either you touch him or you run past him and the play's over. I get it, Jeff. It's a little radical. I'm not disagreeing, but it keeps the quarterback semi-healthier and it allows you to get the work in. To me, I play everybody like the old days, and you let the chips fall where they may. I've seen seasons ruined because quarterbacks or players got hurt.
You're right, and you know what? The whole thing was first game they play a series or 2. Second game they play into the second quarter. Third game they played a halftime.
Maybe one series into the third quarter. Yeah,
and then fourth game. It was just guys that were getting ready to get cut, rookies, people that needed work. You had a formula, you took it away.
Yeah, the CBA that they got is ridiculous now. Because like you said, they're not getting acclimated to being hit. And I think I'll be honest with you, I think we're only about 3 to 5 seasons away, Tom, where you're going to see in regular season games where you're not going to be able to hit the quarterback because they got it now anyway. Everything is roughing the passer. You run by the quarterback and hit him with your arm too high in the chest, you're getting 15 yards.
Yeah, I hope that doesn't happen. Yeah, Jeff.
Frankie just froze for a second there.
He's up.
Listen, I don't particularly agree with all of that because what happens when the pocket collapses? How are you going to tell a bunch of guys, offensive and defensive linemen, that are going for it, okay, you got to stop now because you're going to step on the quarterback's leg? If you remember a few years back, Matt Ryan, an offensive lineman, stepped on his fucking ankle in a game. And man, holy shit, that was horrifying to see. And listen, an accident has happened. So even without hitting them, you still face the chance of getting hit.
But that can happen in practice, too.
I agree with all of that.
Right.
Frank, let me tell you something. I wouldn't take a quarterback who signed with the Denver Broncos if he was John Elway. I like quarterbacks who win things, not like your quarterback. So, none of your quarterbacks are going to wind up in the Giants.
No, I think, Frankie, wherever you are right now, please call the fire department. Have them come over and check the oxygen levels in your apartment, wherever.
The carbon monoxide's creeping into your house.
You hear a beeping in the background? What the fuck, man? Something's going on.
Hard Rocket Sports, Jeff, Tom, and Frank Geffre all there hanging with you.
Watch Denver win the division this year.
Yeah. The next couple of weeks we're going to dive right into all of that. I do want to get to the Hall of Fame stuff. I got one more on the football. Well, actually, I got a bunch more, but I'm going to limit it to. What do you guys think of 5? I think it's 5 players on the Indianapolis Colts wore the great Gazoo helmets. With the padded helmet. What did you guys think of that? Is that something that you want to see in regular season games? To me, I say when you go out there, you go out there. But if there's a way to keep guys healthy, and even if it looks like they're ridiculous, I say you let them do it. But what do you guys think, Frankie? What do you think on that one?
I agree with you, Tom. Especially for running backs and guys like that, guys that are going to get hit and get those kind of injuries, if they want to wear them and they feel safe wearing them, you never should deny somebody a piece of safety equipment if they want to wear it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
If they think it's going to help. I think it, like you said, it definitely looks ridiculous. But if they can say it's going to limit concussions and keep players out there and all of this, then why not? Why not? It looks like it makes your head very awkward and you'd have a neck injury now more than a head injury. But I don't know, because they used to say that about the cleats. They used to say why people are getting so many knee injuries and all of that now. Yep. And they're saying, well, the cleats are so good that they're protecting their feet and their ankles, but now the knees are popping. So you don't know. You don't know what it's going to cause.
Jeff, what are your thoughts on the great Gazoo helmets?
Oh well, I'm definitely don't like the look at them. That's for sure. It looks strange, but other things have looked strange too. Helmets on hockey players look strange a few years back also, and then everybody and their mother's wearing them nowadays because they have to.
Yep.
But I think that as the salary of the quarterback is going to go up, you may actually see something like that happen, because if you're paying $75 million to a guy, the last thing you want to do is have him get a concussion or something. So I think eventually, I agree with you. Eventually down the line, it's going to be protocol, or at least be the player's choice. Does he want to wear them? And I agree with Frank. That much extra padding on a helmet, what does that do for the weight? What does it do for your head if it jars one way or another? You
end up with more neck injuries now, right?
So, there's a lot. I'm sure they're studying. I'm sure they're coming up with something, but are they ever going to have a foolproof answer? I don't think so. It's a contact sport. It's what happens.
Absolutely. My dad just popped up. I guess he just got on. So let me get my dad in, and then when we're done, we'll get right to the Hall of Fame. I got a whole bunch on Hall of Fame stuff. So let's get my pops on and see what he's got to say. What's up, Pop?
Oh, sorry, guys. I fell asleep at the chair. Don't get older. Don't get a recliner. You fall asleep on it. What's up?
No worries, Pop. What's going on?
Oh, good, man.
What's on your mind?
I don't know. I'm listening to the Hall of Fame, and I don't know. I don't.
I got one for you, Pop. We were talking about Aaron Judge, and while we all kind of agreed that he was probably the best player in baseball, out of his 9 years, he's only had 3 great years. And I heard people talking today with him mixed in with the greats of all time, and it was specifically comparing him to Mantle. And I thought it was just a little too premature to say that. Well, I think he's definitely the best player in baseball right now. I think it's a little premature to start putting him in that group when a guy doesn't even have 1,000 hits in his career.
Well, it's very hard to judge a guy while he's still playing, because even Mantle struck out a lot, went into the stands a couple of times. I don't think. No, right now, no. He's a great ball player. I think his legacy will grow as he plays. But I wouldn't put him in the same category with. I'd put him with Jackson, and whatever else you got.
Okay.
I don't know. I wouldn't put him in.
He's not there yet. He's still a little ways off. He needs a few more years, and at this point, it might be tough for him to get there. 32 years old, a lot of injuries. He needs 3 or 4 more years of solid baseball before he's even in that conversation.
It's funny you say that. It's funny. Today is 2024. They're still breaking records, and they're still comparing him to Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
And I mean, naturally, that's way before my time. But I just can't imagine anybody holding the records that he has, and that today it's still not broken.
Well, that shows you how great and how ahead. I think the one thing you say about Babe Ruth is he was way, way, way ahead of his time. Guys just didn't put up numbers like that. Same thing to me with the Gretzky. The same thing to me with Jim Brown. They did things that nobody did in their time. Lawrence Taylor, nobody did those things. That's why they're the greatest of all time. That's why they're who they are.
Michael Jordan, right?
Yeah.
There was a lot of guys in the NFL doing cocaine when Lawrence Taylor was playing.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, boy, here we go. Here we go. But you just...
Yeah, no.
Wasn't a trendsetter there, that's for
What
sure.
I'm trying to say is, not only did Ruth hit the home runs, I want to know how many guys playing then now with the batting average.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I go by. Ruth was carrying a 342 average.
Yep.
And hitting 700 some home run. There's not too many ball players. I don't know what Barry Bonds was. I definitely know what's his name? The other player from St. Louis. McGuire. I know he was nowhere near. Even Maris, I think he had 250, 260. In 61 years. And he hit the 61 homers.
Yeah, again, I think it's it's a different game today. Today you hit 260, you're a superstar hitter. At bottom of the barrel players are hitting 210, 220, and they're considered major league players. Back then, you hit 210, 220, you were going out in the minors for somebody who could hit 260. So
Right.
Remember Gorman Thomas from the Brewers?
Sure.
Then there was a guy that was considered a power hitter for his time, but he was batting like in the 220s, 230s. You remember that?
Yeah, sure.
And so I understand what you're saying, but it seems as though that the low averages are kind of associated with power hitters.
Yeah, but
other guys should be hitting an average. It's exactly what it is, an average.
Yeah,
260, 270 is
100%.
the normal average, and then you got your above average hitters that are in the 300 plus. But yeah, do they make too big a deal out of a batting average? You think?
No, and I don't. To me, the key to baseball is getting on base, getting hits. It's not about hitting home runs and arch angles and exit velos. Frank, I always bring this up, Frank, and I say the same thing. If you compare Dave Kingman, who was everybody thought was a big joke back in the day, I bet you people like Pete Alonso and some of those guys, their numbers are compatible to what he was. And back in the 70s and 80s, Dave Kingman was a joke of a baseball player.
He still is.
I'm not disagreeing, but I'm saying is, back then he was a joke. He would hit, 230, but he hit 40-something home runs. And they're like, oh, he's a home run hitter. But you look at guys like Pete Alonso and some of these other guys, they're hitting, Frankie, 220, 230, but they're considered, they're getting $40 million contracts.
Right.
I mean, look at the difference between Alonso and Judge.
Right.
Alonso's going to hit 40 home runs, but his average is going to be in the 250s, where Judge, unless he falls down, is going to hit 50 home runs.
Yeah.
And his average is going to be in the 300s, 310, 315. And that's the big difference. Because home run hitters, no matter what anybody says, are streak hitters.
Yep.
Dave Kingman ended up in his career hitting 440-something home runs. I just lost it. 442 home
I didn't
runs.
think he hit
He
that.
probably
many.
had 600 strikeouts.
What was his career?
His batting average was 236.
Yeah, there you go. I guarantee you, if you look up some of these players who play today who get these kind of contracts.
Oh, and hold on. His strikeout, he struck out 1,806.
Told you.
Wow.
Dave Kingman would hit one home run for every 2-3 strikeouts.
Yeah.
But that's what he was. And he was a joke back then. But I guarantee you, if you compare his numbers to some of the guys today, and I'll use Pete Alonso, I bet you his numbers are compatible to Pete Alonso's. And you tell me that's how the game has changed. You know what, Jeff? there isn't enough of a premium on guys who hit for average anymore.
Nope.
Yeah, I hear
They don't
you.
want you hit for average. They want the home run.
Yes,
They tell you point blank.
Yep.
They want the home run.
They want
That's
the guy.
what you-
They want the guy who throws 99 miles an hour, and they want the
Right.
guy who hits 45 homers but hits 210 for the season.
Guy pitches 4 innings.
Yep.
He's pitching a shutout. They think he's Sandy Koufax.
Yep, 100%.
Real quick, just so you know, Pete Alonso batting average 250, struck out. Anybody want to take a stab at how many times he struck out in 6 years?
1,200 times.
A little lower, a lot lower.
I was going to say 900.
Lower.
I would say 500, 400.
A little bit more, but 768 times since 2019.
That's
he
not
struck
bad
out.
at all.
No, it's not bad. But when
That's
you
not
look at
that bad. Yeah, that's not that bad.
How many home runs does he have right now, Jeff?
Hold on, Tom. Let me go back to that.
I bet
I had it.
220.
218.
Okay.
566 RBIs, 748 hits.
Yeah, and that's a guy they wanted. That he's going to be looking for a $30 to $40 million a year, 8 to 10 year contract.
They're going to go after
He's going
Soto.
to get it. He's going to get it.
Oh, absolutely.
They're going to go after Soto.
Yes.
They're not even going to bother with.
Well, he'll be the fallback. He'll be if the Met fan will be okay with losing Pete Alonso if they sign Soto. If they don't sign Soto, they will give Soto whatever he wants. They'll give Alonso anything he wants. So
This kid is a better ball player than I ever thought.
yeah, it's very true. Yeah, he's been great. Yep.
Mr. Flora, you know what I was telling him earlier with Judge? He's not a kind of guy that gets infield hits. So his batting average are solid base hits in a
Definitely.
gap, finding a hole. They're not
Definitely.
They're not,
You
know,
see,
infield
even
hits.
when he played last night, his line drives, I'd be afraid to catch him.
Yeah.
It'd break your hand.
Yeah.
I mean, he's that good of a. There are some guy. I said even Mano, God bless his soul, was a great ball player. Well, if he didn't drink and do his carousing and whatever he did,
He'd come off the bar stool and go onto the bench.
it was funny because when we were kids, they used to say his leg was bothering him. He was feeling sick. Meanwhile, he was on the bench, stoned out of his mind.
Yeah.
He couldn't get his shame.
Did you ever hear the story about Mickey Mantle when he was late going out? The Yankees were up. He was probably, I think he was batting ninth. He made the last out of the inning before, so he would be batting ninth in that inning. The Yankees were up, and supposedly, as the story goes, I don't know if this is true. He claimed while the Yankees were up, he was in the clubhouse having sex with a chick.
I
And the
believe it.
Yankees got 1, 2, 3. They got out real quick, and they had to go get him because he had to go out on the field.
Well,
But that's
supposedly, from what I read or I heard, that shot that he got when him and Maris were
Yes.
going for the record,
It's supposed to be the
he read
B12.
it was a VD shot.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what. But if you remember, who did you have on for your interview? That room with Mantle.
Oh, Ron Bloomberg.
No.
Yeah, Ronnie Bloomberg.
No, it was the guy that. Who was the one that kept saying? You said to him, "How was Mantle?"
Ron
At the
Bloomberg.
roommate.
It was Bloomberg. Bloomberg, his
Okay.
rookie year.
And all Bloomberg kept saying was, "I know all I roomed with was his luggage."
Yeah, it was a suitcase. Yeah.
Yeah, all I had was they used to put the suitcase in it.
Yeah.
But the stories are like wild about him.
Yeah.
And it's a shame, but too late to
Yeah. Well, I
too
mean,
late. So now.
it's only amazing how much of a great career he had anyway, even with
All
all
right,
that.
Jeff, we're waiting for what? Saturday, Jeff?
Saturday, what's going on? Oh, the Jets or something?
Yeah,
Saturday? I can't watch preseason football, Mr.
yeah,
Florida.
I don't like it either. Yeah.
I'll just wait till they start fucking up for real.
Football's football the way I watch it.
Uh,
I
Yeah,
watch it.
no,
I
yeah.
watch it.
They do more fighting in the practice. than
it's
they do in-
knowing that, you know what, there are probably guys that are playing Saturday are probably guys that you're not going to see on the field come after September. So I don't want to watch that. I mean, if it's on, I may stay for a minute, but, you know, I'm looking forward to the regular season. I just hope that this guy's insane. I just hope that the Jets have a decent year this year. As long as they do better than the Broncos and the Giants, I'm good with it.
Well, I'm a Giant fan. I root for the Jets. The Giants play the Jets. I got to root for the Giants. Okay.
That's
But
understandable.
I want the
Everybody's got
Jets.
their
If
team.
the Giants don't make it to the Super Bowl, I root for it. I like to see the Jets make it.
Well,
I just
we
want
all-
to see
we all know
Aaron
I'm the
Rodgers
same way with
pulled
the
out a
Mets and the
couple of
Yankees. I
times.
can't root for the Jets.
No, it's
wanna see
amazing.
Rodgers.
How come if Jets, Giants, Knicks, these are teams that just can't get relevant in their respective sports?
Because you have established teams here.
Yeah,
You
but
had
it's
it-
New York. It's New York. Don't you
No,
want
but it's
to
not.
play
It's not.
New
Don't
York?
forget now when we were kids, you had all you had was the Rangers, you had the Giants. Okay. Giants played once every other week on TV. The Rangers played maybe once a month on TV. There was no Mets, there was no Dodgers, everybody, there was nothing here. So by the time they came to an establishment, they'll never look at the poor Islanders. What did they win? 4 in a row?
Yep.
Stanley Cups, and they had to ride around a parking lot.
Hey, could you tell us about life when there was no Mets team, no Mets baseball? It must have been great. Everybody was a Yankee fan. You
Well,
know,
everything. No, they weren't. Believe it or not, they were naturally. Well, don't
we
forget.
had the Giants and the Dodgers too. I understand that.
Do you know the Mets uniform is a combination of the Dodgers
Right.
and the Giants?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
The Dodger and Giant fans that because they left, they would try and drag them into like the Mets by
Oh, interesting. I didn't know
Dodger
that.
blue and a Giant
Well,
orange.
who was the Met owner that got in a lot of trouble because when they did the stadium for him, he put that I forgot who it was.
But it was Wilpon. Wilpon put the statue of the Dodger. I don't know if it was Koufax or if it was Jackie Robinson. I forget who he did.
I don't think it was. People wouldn't have complained half as much.
Yeah.
I think, but
Yep.
and Koufax, how could you not say Koufax?
Yeah, he had more of a tribute to the Dodgers than he did the Mets history.
I remember that.
Yes. Then they fixed it with the Seaver statue now.
Yeah.
That's like a typical New York team, something like the Jets would do.
Yeah.
That's a statue of Lawrence Taylor.
Because the Mets had no history, they had to steal somebody's.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah.
A lot of teams are like that, but here, that brings my point. You're a New York team. How come you can't attract the right players to your team to become successful?
Yeah.
There's no reason. Teams like Boston, Chicago, the New York teams, Los Angeles, these are teams that should be in the thick of things year after year after year. Okay? Teams like the Pirates and small market teams, the Brewers, these are teams I can see that have hard luck for 20, 30 years and don't win, have a winning season in that point in time. Not a New York team. Come on, man.
No, but
I'll tell you why that happens, Jeff. It's all about the money. You got to think about it. The Knicks are sold out for the next 10 years. Do you think they care who plays? They're already sold out for the next 10 years.
Yeah,
They
but
don't care
Frankie,
what the product is on the court.
They would make more money if they had better players.
How? You
and
can
they
only
won,
sell.
they won
If
something
your
like,
stadium
say,
holds 20,000 and you're
NBA
sold out for the
championship.
next 10 years, how are you making more money? You're not.
Everything. You jack up ticket prices, you tack up souvenir prices, food prices, parking prices, everything.
They do it now anyway, even with the shitty team.
To an extent, I hear you. I understand what you're saying, but you think, how about a trophy in the fucking hallway, man? Really? How about that?
There's not guys like George Steinbrenner around that says winning is like breathing to me.
Yep.
There's not that many owners like that now. Now
No,
it's about
not.
money.
And
I can make
worse.
$100 million and have a shitty team. I'm going to have a shitty team. I don't care.
Worse is
or I'm
the
just
player.
going to cut into my profit to sign all of these big name guys.
What worse is the player that doesn't want to play to win, that wants to play for the money. It's like, what's the sense? Just go out and play 162 games, call it a day. We'll give the trophy to the best team with the most wins. That's all.
Yeah.
If there's two teams that are tied, they play a one-game playoff. Okay, they won more games. They won the championship. That's all. Sucks.
Yep. That's how it does.
All right, guys, enjoy your weekend, all of you.
Yep.
Tommy, I'll see you sometime over the weekend.
Yes, sir.
And guys, take care. Nice seeing you. And I got to set an alarm clock up, Tommy.
That's all right, Pops.
I'll talk to you later, babe.
You got it,
Love
Pat.
you.
All right,
Okay.
Pops. Love you too. That's my dad. He checks in every week, and I guess he woke up in time to get on the show. So
I got to ask you a question. I know we don't have that much time left. Tom, I brought up something to you earlier today.
What do you think?
About the Judge home run celebration.
No, yeah, go ahead, please.
Did you get a chance to watch it, Frank? Did you see that?
Yeah, I watched it live.
Okay, so do you feel as though that a team like the Yankees, like when Judge celebrated the home run, I'm not going to say it got a little out of hand, but the Yankees to me are a classy organization. The Yankees, the Dodgers, some of these older organizations in baseball and football, like you don't expect them to stoop to certain levels or do certain things. Do you think that his celebration for hitting 300 home runs on the field was a little excessive?
Yes, I do. I don't like any of the bat flipping.
Not the bat flipping. That I could see when he was doing it looked like two little girls in the playground.
Yeah.
Mother Mary and whatever.
I'm not a big fan of any of that stuff. To me, hit the home run. I mean, you hit 300 of them. I almost get it when you win. When you do it when you win a big game. I'm all over it. You can have a little extra. I think it's okay. I don't like it, but it's okay. When you hit a milestone, hit the ball, put your head down, run as fast as you can, get to the plate, clap a few hands, and get in the dugout. To me, unless you're hitting number 73 or number 74, you're breaking a record. No,
unless you just won the fucking World Series.
Yeah, to me,
exactly. If it's the bottom of the ninth, you hit a grand slam and you just won the World Series. Celebrate that. But this is. I believe in the Bill Parcells philosophy. Act like you've been there.
Yeah, act like you've hit a home run before.
300.
Yeah, I don't like it in sports to begin with. To me, if you scored a touchdown before, the Victor Cruz dance, all those spike dance, I never liked any of it. You scored a touchdown. Flip the ball to the referee.
It's your job. It's your job in football. It's your job to score a touchdown.
Yeah,
Judge. It's your job to hit home runs and to drive runs in.
Yeah,
your job.
100%.
I jumped up on my desk at work the other day because I put in 5 work orders, and I started to dance. My boss was like, "What the fuck is wrong? Get the fuck off of that, fat boy." Didn't want to hear about it. I'm like, "Yeah, but I did 5, man." He's like, "Get the fuck off."
Next time, do 6.
Yeah, right.
All right, so let's get to the Hall of Fame stuff. One thing I want to ask you guys. I got the list coming up. I got 3 different lists. I got people eligible for next year, the biggest snubs in NFL history at this moment, and 11 players who aren't in the Hall of Fame. So I want to kind of get through them as fast as we can. But I got to ask you a question about. Now I just drew the blank. Shit.
And Frank Catalano, yeah, I agree with you, man. Now all that running the length of the field to take your picture on the opposite end, nah.
It's bullshit.
Stop it.
All right, I did have some on umpires. I'll probably hold that till next week. Real quick, do you know what do you guys think the average umpire gets percentage-wise of calls right during the game, balls and strikes? So let's say
I'd say 43%.
Frank, what do you think?
I think it's more like 62.
The average is around 90 to 91% of calls are correct.
Wow.
Okay. Wow. The other night, there was a guy that one of the umpires, I forget what game it was. I think it was the Yankee game where Sunday where Soto hit the 3 home runs. The umpire got 173 of 74 pitches correct. They went back and checked everyone. He missed 1 pitch, and it was borderline. He got 99.97% of the pitches called correctly. I mean, that to me is amazing. They say on an average, an umpire will miss 5 to 7 pitches in a game where he gets it wrong, which I thought was much better than I expected it to be.
Much better than I expected, yeah.
See, I really think that you guys are
astronomically low.
Yeah, I had to get that in because I thought that was a really interesting stat. Now, let's talk NFL. First thing on the NFL thing, did either one of you guys watch the ceremony from a couple weeks ago?
Yes.
I did not.
Okay, I'm sure you saw it on the thing. Did either one of you guys see the Steve McMichael induction? And to me, it was borderline intrusive, and I thought uncomfortable.
I didn't like it.
Yeah,
I didn't like it.
Well, I think it's a great thing. The guys that first of all, listen, and I'm not knocking. I hate to knock somebody who's ill and all that. Steve McMichael's not a Hall of Famer. I'm sorry. I watched his career. He was a really good player on a great team that was great for 1 year. I don't see him as a Hall of Famer. You put him in, no problem. Whatever it is, I'll get past all of that. I didn't like the ceremony. The poor guy's in the bed. You got cameras all over him. He can barely blink, let alone move. I thought it was an intrusive. I didn't like. I'm sure his family was okay with it. I didn't like it, to be honest with you.
You know what? I wouldn't mind if they did a tape thing when they announced it to him, or that he made the Hall of Fame. That's one thing, but to do what they did, I think was a little sad in a way, because, like you said, he couldn't react. You don't even know, is the guy shitting himself at the time that they're telling him, and like his dignity, there was none. I understand what you were trying to do. Yeah. I don't think it was a bad thing, but I think, like you said, I agree. I think it was a little uncomfortable.
Frank, what was your take on it?
I thought it was touching and very moving, especially the way they got there. They, like basically overnight, and how they coordinated. I thought that was a wonderful thing the NFL did. However, I do agree it's like, give the guy some dignity, what I mean? Like, if you want to do that and bring his family or go there and do something with his family, fine. But to do it at the bedside like that was just, like you said, a little bit much.
Yeah, I want to get into the conversation whether he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame or not. Just to do it that, to have his family either at the ceremony or from his house,
right?
Show some films of him and his day. I get it. To do that, I don't know. Does he understand? Did he know? I have no idea. I found him a little on the uncomfortable side. That's all. He
has Lou Gehrig's disease, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I
think he knows. I think he's aware of what's going on. But
he might have, Frank Kellogg, he might have wanted to do it, and that's fine. I just think, for me, I don't know.
Yeah, Frank. How do you know? How does he know that he wanted to do it? How did he let anybody know?
He does communicate somehow with his wife. They were talking about that.
Yeah. Again, anything's possible. I just found it to be uncomfortable. Maybe it's just me. Maybe he wanted it. Maybe his family wanted it. And it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Nobody's blasting anybody for it. I was just
right, exactly.
What everybody's thought process.
And you got to commend the NFL for the effort that they made to get them guys there basically in like 4 hours.
Yeah.
With the busting and the jack and everything, that was crazy.
Stone Cold slapped his wife too. Never mind, stole
it. Hey, so again, guys, we're down to the last 15, 20 minutes. So I want to run through this, but there's the big question is, there's a list. I'll give you the list of guys who are eligible for next year. This is the list of guys who are on the list. I think this is first time people that are on the list. And I'm going to run through it. I want you guys to tell me if you think they're Hall of Famers or not. I think there's some easy ones, and obviously the big one's going to be Eli. This is where this all started. Frankie put up something on our group, and I think Eli Manning's a Hall of Famer. Now, is he first ballot? Is he sixth ballot? Does it matter? If the guy's a Hall of Famer, the guy's a Hall of Famer. So I want to run through this list. You guys give me some thoughts on what of these guys. Like Luke Kuechly to me was a tackling machine. He's a Hall of Famer.
Yep.
Jeff, I mean, which guy? I'm sorry, Tom.
Luke Kuechly.
Luke Kuechly, yeah.
No, I don't even know who he was. It doesn't.
Yeah, he was a linebacker for the Panthers. Really, a tackling.
Oh, okay. Now, yes. Yeah, I could go with that. Yes. Hall of
Fame. I don't know much about Marshall Yonder, so I'm going to decline.
He's an offensive lineman, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Marshall Yonder is a very good offensive lineman. He was solid up the middle. He bounced around from being like tackle to guard. And he had some injuries early on. But then once he settled into that guard, he was the beast up the middle.
All right. So Earl Thomas, I think we could all agree Earl Thomas was a Hall of Famer. I mean, one of the best safeties of his time. Vinatieri, I think, is a Hall of Famer. The guy made every big kick in the world. Jeff, would you agree? I think out of Vinatieri is probably a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Joe Staley, the tackle for the 49ers, I think was, again, when you get the offensive lineman, you kind of got to see enough of them. I would say I have no problem with Joe Staley. Marshawn Lynch, people are calling for him to be a Hall of Famer. I don't see Marshawn Lynch as a Hall of Famer.
No.
He had a couple good seasons, but did he do enough in those seasons to get in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
Although
I don't think I agree with Tommy. I don't see him as a.
Yeah, I think he had a couple of maybe great seasons. Maybe he was one of the better backs for a little while. But
not a very long time though.
No.
3-4 years.
Yeah, I would say he had a 3-4 year run where I would say.
Thank God he didn't play for the Denver Broncos.
I would agree with Rudy.
That alone gets some Hall of Fame potential.
Okay, the big controversy seems to be Eli Manning, and I don't see how Eli doesn't get there. The guy's got more playoff road wins than just about any NFL quarterback in history. He's got 2 Super Bowl MVPs.
How many playoff road wins does he have?
I think it's 6 or 8.
Well, it can't be. I don't see it being 8, to be honest with you.
Well, they had the 2 runs. They had the 2 Super Bowl wins. They had the 2 Super Bowl runs, and all of those games were on the road.
Yeah, but listen, maybe 6. I could say, all right, 8. I don't know. That's difficult. Mark Sanchez had 4. And he's never going to get into the Hall of Fame.
But he's never won a Super Bowl. He certainly never won a Super Bowl MVP. So
no. I don't even think he made it into a playoff to announce a game.
Here's my feeling on it. I agree with Tommy. If you're a Hall of Famer, you're a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
I think Eli Manning belongs in the Hall of Fame. He's probably the top 10, somewhere in the top 10 in passing and yardage and shit like that. Here's the other stat that people forget. There are only 6 quarterbacks that are 2-time Super Bowl MVPs. Okay? 6. There's 3 of them are already in the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah, you got that right.
The other 2 that aren't in the Hall of Fame aren't Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes aren't eligible yet. So that leaves one more guy, Eli Manning. He's the only one. He's one of 6 in that category. He's got the numbers, and then a lot of people talk about the negative glitch on him is his all-time interceptions. He's very high in interceptions.
Yep.
But he throws less interceptions than Brett Favre. Is he a Hall of Famer?
Yes.
He threw less interceptions than Frank Tarkenton. Is he a Hall of Famer?
Yes.
He threw less interceptions than Johnny Unitas. Is he a Hall of Famer?
I got to stop you.
He threw less interceptions than George Blanda. Is he a Hall of Famer?
I got to stop you. 2 things I got to stop you right now. Half of those guys you just mentioned don't even count anymore because their stats were wiped out by what's called the Super Bowl era. So their stats don't even count. Second, Brett Favre
Frank Tarkenton played during the Super Bowl era, bro. So did Brett Favre. I don't know what you're talking about. I'll take George Blanda off. Listen, Johnny Unitas played in a couple of Super Bowls too.
Mute him. They mute him.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Certain players and certain records of certain players seem to have disappeared into the NFL cloud, never to be seen again. Frank Tarkenton is one of those names that hasn't been mentioned on an NFL broadcast since 1979, and you know it. Okay? And Brett Favre was a gunslinger. The guy was going to throw the ball more often than not. Of course, he's going to have more interceptions than 10 quarterbacks that played in the league because all he did was throw the ball. So that to me, well, I understand your point because I just looked. Eli Manning did throw more than 100 touchdown passes, more than interceptions. Yeah. So I'll give you that. But some of those guys, their stats don't mean anything.
How about Peyton Manning?
What's that?
How about Peyton Manning? Peyton Manning threw more interceptions than Eli Manning.
He played longer too, didn't he?
No, I think they're about the same. Maybe
a year more.
Yeah. I think the most telling thing you can say about Eli is when he had the big games, he beat Brady in the Super Bowl twice. He beat Brett Favre in Green Bay in the playoffs. He beat Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay in the playoffs. He went to Dallas and won. This is a guy who won big games. That's got to count. Now, again, his regular season, okay, he's got a 50-50 record. I get 500. But how much of that is on him? How come, I think Eli is a no-doubt Hall of Famer. If he's not, then there's a lot of guys in the Hall of Fame and a lot of guys who will come up on the Hall of Fame who shouldn't be get in. So, to me, is he Is he better than Ben Roethlisberger? No, but I think he's real close. I think he's super close. Roethlisberger, the one thing that he has is a little less on the interceptions, and he's got more wins, but I think he just played on better teams. But other than that, I don't see there's any issue. After that on this list, Terrell Suggs, is anybody putting Terrell Suggs in the Hall of Fame?
No, but let me ask you a question that's more important. I like the way you transition real quick away from that, man.
Oh, good.
I'm not letting you go too fast.
No, good.
If Eli Manning played on any other team other than the New York Giants, would you advocate for him to be in the Hall of Fame? Yes or no? Be honest.
Well, does he have the same stats?
Same record, same stats,
And
everything else. He played for the Eagles.
Yes.
I don't believe. Tom, I love you like a brother. I think I call bullshit.
No.
There's no way that you're going to advocate for a Cowboy, a Redskin, or an Eagle to get into the playoffs. I the Hall of Fame.
I call balls and strikes. I will always call balls. Like, okay, I'm not a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I think Ben Roethlisberger is a Hall of Famer.
Pittsburgh Steelers have nothing at all to do with the Giants.
But I also say that Phillip Rivers is not a Hall of Famer. I don't think he did not distinguish himself at all in his career.
I got to agree with that. That's Phillip Rivers. That's Phillip Rivers. That's a completely different story.
But again, give me a player who played for the Cowboys or the Eagles or the Redskins that you think is Hall of Fame that I would disagree with, and I'll call balls and strikes. Again,
I don't know all of those players that are on those teams that are in the Hall of Fame, but I do know that if Eli Manning did not play for the Giants, I find it hard to believe that you would be stumping for him to get into the Hall of Fame.
If you go through his resume and you see the guys that he beat, where he beat them, 2 Super Bowls against, arguably, a team that's in the top 3 of all time, the 18-1 Patriots.
The greatest team that the NFL has ever seen.
Probably second or third to the
greatest team the NFL has ever seen. The Patriots, 18-1.
Again, I'm going to put the Dolphins because they won the Super Bowl. But are the 18-1 Patriots better than any one of those Super Bowl Pittsburgh Steelers teams? Back-to-backers. That's a tough one for me. So
now you're taking 2 different eras in the Super Bowl era itself.
Yeah.
And comparing it, it was a different way of
I agree with you, Jeff, 100%.
The first Super Bowl win to the last Super Bowl win and compare the winners, I think it's unfair to both teams.
I agree.
It's a completely different game.
But again, we are comparing the 73 Dolphins as the greatest team of all time, which you disagree with, and Frankie thinks they are.
Well, it's because it's not the 73 Dolphins. It was the 72 Dolphins.
Sorry, the Super Bowl was played in 73.
Well, I'm sure that we can all agree the 73 Dolphins was not the greatest team in the NFL.
Why not?
They did nothing.
The Dolphins were the first team to go to 3 Super Bowls in a row, bro.
Yes, and then
we won that next year too.
What was the last time they were in the Super Bowl?
Next year.
What was the last time they were in the Super Bowl?
82, right?
82.
Shit.
When was the last time the Jets were in the Super Bowl, bro?
All right, so right now, what I really wanted to get to after this, because you go down this line, there's some good players. There's really nobody here on this list that I would say is a Hall of Famer. Carnell Lake was a good player. Joey Porter was a decent player. Neil Smith was a really good player. Mike Allstott, Torrey Holt, Rich
I like
Gannon.
Denarian Thomas, though. I'm not going to lie. I like Denarian Thomas. I know I don't want to give Frankie Catalano props because he's a Bronco, but
I'll give you a name that's coming up, and I would give serious consideration to Nick Mangold. I think Nick Mangold was a borderline Hall of Famer. He was as good a center for his 10 years. If Kevin Mawai got in as a Hall of Fame center,
you read my mind.
I would have a hard time not putting Nick Mangold in.
Nick Mangold, I think, has to be looked at as one of the best centers at his time in the NFL. I don't have a problem with him going into the NFL, but it's an offensive lineman. Nobody's even going to know who the fuck he is in 10 years.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying, as a guy who watched Nick Mangold's career, and I watched Mawai, I think Mawai was a pretty decent player, but I never consider him a Hall of Famer. But if that's the benchmark, to me, Kevin Mawai Nick Mangold's Hall of Famer. Andre Rison, I always thought Andre Rison was a really good player. I thought he fell a little short. Same thing with Cornelius Bennett. Good players.
Well, now, these are guys that aren't in yet, right?
These are guys who are not in the Hall of Fame right
They're
now.
not in the Hall of Fame yet.
Andre Rison is almost as famous for his girlfriend trying to burn his house down when he was going out with that chick from TLC. And
Yeah, Louis Left Eye or whatever.
Left Eye Lou.
Yeah. Frank, what guys? What do you think about Steve Smith Sr.? I think Steve Smith Sr. gets into the Hall of Fame someday.
I like Steve Smith Sr. You know what's gonna kill him though? I think they put Tyler Halton over him this year.
Yeah, I agree. I would agree with that. But I do think he finds a way to get in.
He'll find it maybe next year. With this class, like you said, if you're looking at 7 guys that are going to go in the Hall of Fame, you got Luke Kingley, you got Yardley, you got Thomas, you got Adam Vinatieri, you got Eli Manning. I would say Taylor Hoyt. I would say even Antonio Gates. Come on, he's like the 3rd best tight end in the NFL history.
That's an interesting one, but yeah, see, I'm on the fence with Antonio Gates. I agree with you. I think there's another guy that I haven't found on this list yet, but he is here. I saw it before. And I think there's a guy who's completely underrated. If you put him up against the guys who are in the Hall of Fame, and that's Tiki Barber. I think Tiki Barber deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Tiki Barber's last 5 years, he averaged like 1,500 yards on the ground. He had 3 seasons, at least, and just missed the 4th. We had 2,000 yards combined. Tiki Barber is better than a lot of these guys that are going to the Hall of Fame as a running back.
I like Tiki Barber. I like that call, but I can't put Tiki Barber in before I put Roger Craig in.
Now, that's another good one. See, now, Roger Craig, I don't know. See, I like to look up his stats real fast. Because Roger Craig was a really good back, but I don't know.
He's the first back to get 1,000-yard rushing and 1,000-yard receiving in the season.
But how many seasons did he do that? That's the question.
I'm looking it up now, Tom.
Oh, you got it? Oh, good. Okay.
I'll have it for you.
I had the same thought about that as Roger Craig, but I think Tiki over the long – Tiki had 10,000, almost 11,000 yards rushing in his career. And that's like the last 5 or 6 years. This last year, I think he ran for 1,600 yards. Tom Nalen, if you put Nick in. I would agree with that, Frankie. I think the offensive line guys are very tough. But, yeah, I would have no problem with Nalen getting in.
What are you looking for Roger Craig?
Just how many? What did he wind up with yards for his career?
81, 89. He topped 1,000 yards twice, 1050 and 1054. And once he topped 1,500 with 1502. He never had more than 10 touchdowns, 9 the most, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. His last 4 years in the NFL, he scored 1 touchdown 3 times and 4 touchdowns once.
Yeah, see, Frankie, by the eye test, I would probably vote him in. But if you look at his numbers, Frankie, I'm not sure his numbers are there.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. He's got almost 10,000 yards rushing, and he's
nowhere near 10,000 yards. What are you talking about?
He's got a lot of yards receiving too.
He's got 8,189 yards. He just barely cracked on 8,000 yards rushing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad career. The problem is with only 3,000 yard season, and he just got over 1,000. He was a really good back. I mean, a really, really good back.
How many World Series teams? How many Super Bowl teams was he on? 3?
3, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe 2 or 3.
But then again, it was the time that he played. We're judging him versus maybe some higher numbers of other players. If I remember right, he was like an all-purpose back.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yes, he was definitely a guy who did everything and everything right. Let's see, Joe Montana starts the run for Super Bowls. Yeah, Rice wasn't there for 2 of those championships. I
think he only won 1 Super Bowl, Rice. I think he only won the 1. I'm not sure.
Tiki Barber?
No. Roger Craig had. I'm not sure. It says.
I gotta go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. I think he was definitely won more than 1. He was on the Niners for a while.
Yeah. Let me give you Tiki stats. So Frank, here's Tiki for his career. 10,449 yards. 55
Roger
touchdowns.
Craig won 3, by the way.
You won 3? Yeah. See, I think Roger Craig is one of those guys. If you put him in, it wouldn't blow my mind. But on the face value of it, I don't think I could vote him in. He was a really good guy.
I would put him in on the fact, like you said, it wasn't just about his running. I understand his rushing yards was only 8,000, but he had so many more receiving yards, and he did so many other things.
He was a great back. He really was. And again, if he got in, it wouldn't kill me. I just think he falls short. But I can't put him in the same category as Tiki. I mean, Tiki Barber, his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, 1,387 rushing yards, 1,200 rushing yards, 1,500, 1,800 rushing yards, 1,600 rushing yards. His last 5 years, and the 2 years before that was 865 and 1,000. So 55 touchdowns. You know, I mean, let's see, receiving. He had another 5,000 yards in receiving, another 12 touchdowns receiving. Tiki Barber was a great back. His early part was a little rough, but I have to tell you, I don't see how he can't get in.
Yeah, he only had 2,000 more yards rushing in his career than Roger Craig.
No,
he had about
100%.
the same yards receiving. So yeah, you're right. If you're gonna put Roger Craig in, hey, I could see you putting him in too.
Yeah, I just don't see how Tiki. The problem with Tiki wasn't well liked. He pissed all over Eli when he got out. His post football career was supposed to be Michael Strahan. Right. He was supposed to be that guy. He was supposed to be the guy all over TV, making movies, and it didn't happen.
It didn't pan out. Yeah.
Right. So he's resurrected. I listen to him all the time. I think he's fantastic on the radio. He does a great job with WFAN. I think he's really kind of resurrected his career or his image. But to me, right now, he may be the biggest player I think that's not in the Hall of Fame. Here's 11 guys who people say should be in the Hall of Fame. We'll end it maybe with this one. Eric Allen, the quarterback from the Eagles, was a really good player. Jared Allen, defensive end for the Vikings, also for the Bears, Panthers, and such and such. Torrey Holt. Anybody voting Torrey Holt into the Hall of Fame?
Wasn't he
I think he should. He was part of that greatest turf, greatest show on turf, whatever they call that.
Yeah.
Right.
Bob Kuchenberg is not in the Hall of Fame. Another guy that people think is one of the best guards of all time.
Hell yeah, Bob Kuchenberg should be in the Hall of Fame.
Clay Matthews, I think, was a really good player for 16 years. I just think he's a little short of being in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I don't think Clay Matthews either.
Yeah. Otis Taylor was before my time. Reggie Wayne, I didn't consider a Hall of Famer. A lot of people do. So those are a bunch of guys. Sterling Sharp, I thought, was on his way to the Hall of Fame, but I thought the neck injury kind of.
Yeah, it cut him short.
Yeah,
cut him short.
But so that to me, those are the big ones. I think next year there's some plays that are on the list that'll get in. Again, I think Kuechly gets in, Yanda gets in, Thomas gets in, Vinatieri, Staley. I just don't see Marshawn Lynch. I do see Eli Manning getting in, and then there's a bunch of guys: Darren Sproles, Clay Matthews, Travis Frederick, Cameron Wake, Terrell Suggs, Akeem Talib, Demaryius Thomas doesn't get in, Kyle Long doesn't get in.
I don't think Cameron Wake gets in either. I can't.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree.
He was a good lineman, but he wasn't great.
Yeah, he wasn't great. So again, I think football is the most difficult of the sports, guys, to put Hall of Famers in. Would you guys agree with that?
Yes.
It's less about stats, Jeff.
Yeah, because there's too many teams, too many positions that are kind of irrelevant. You know what I'm saying?
It's irrelevant to stats.
Well, irrelevant for stats, kind of like offensive lineman.
Yeah.
What is the criteria for an offensive lineman to get in?
They're the most important position in the game, bro.
Right. But what? To me, I would agree with that. I would think it all starts and ends at that spot, whether it's on one side of the ball or the other.
It does, but
look at Jason Kelsey. That guy's first ballot Hall of Famer.
You could get anybody to play offensive line. There's no accolades in offensive line. Nobody's looking as a MVP for offensive line.
I got news for you. You want to know the value of offensive linemen? Watch how much the Eagles struggle in picking up coverages, not even coverages, picking up the packages of the blitz packages and the blocking schemes they're doing. Watch how much the Eagles struggle without Kelsey. Watch.
Yeah. I agree. I think there's not enough of a premium on it. I think the tough part is you only notice them when things go wrong.
Right.
And when things go right, you very rarely get it. Now, Tom Brady.
That I'll disagree with, because look at the Cowboys' offensive line. They talked about it for years and how good of an offensive line it was. Okay,
and how many
more
games
often
they
than
win
not,
every year? They win every year. You know what I
more
mean?
often than not, but what do they win? They win the regular season. They ain't winning nothing.
Yeah, but I understand that. But I'm saying, look, perfect example. A few years ago, Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City looked like they were winning the Super Bowl. Nobody was going to stand in their way. 2 offensive linemen got hurt. Another offensive lineman during the game got hurt, and Patrick Mahomes looked like me quarterbacking.
I think the thing with the offensive line is you don't have to have 5 Hall of Famers on it.
No,
they just have to be very good offensive linemen. I'll go back to some of the Giants teams that won the Super Bowl. There's not a Hall of Famer on them, but they were a really good offensive line.
They're a solid unit.
Yeah, I think the difference is I don't think there's many teams that you can say were great teams that had bad offensive lines. You go back to those, Cowboy teams and the Steeler teams of the 70s.
The great Dolphin teams.
Yeah, the Cowboy teams and the 49 teams of the 80s and 90s. I mean, they were littered with great offensive linemen. While I think you obviously see the receivers and the running backs and the defensive players, to me, whether you have Hall of Famers or not, without a good offensive line, you don't win in the NFL. You just don't.
You got to be good in the trenches.
Yeah,
you got to be good in the trenches. But when was the last time you seen a kid running around on the street with a jersey of an offensive lineman? They don't,
because it's a flash, it's a glitter. They're looking at the glitter of the game.
I'm with you. I'm not disagreeing that it's unheralded. I'm not telling you that.
It's definitely an unheralded position, without a doubt. But the point being is that, yes, do people build their team around offensive line? Yeah. But you could still go out and win games with a sub offensive line.
I disagree with that.
I disagree with that.
I would say this.
I'm not saying go to the Super Bowl. I said win games.
You can win some games. I'm not telling you can't.
Are you going to win games with a sub quarterback? Not really.
Yes. Yeah. You can.
Joe Flacco.
Yeah, I can give you Joe Flacco, Mark Rippon. There's a lot of subpar quarterbacks that have won big games, but I guarantee you we'd have to do a hard press to find a team that won the Super Bowl or won a lot of games that didn't
consistently.
Consistently that didn't have a really good offense. I'm not saying great. I'm not talking about Hall of Famers all over the place. I'm just saying this. You have to have a good offensive line to be competitive. I don't care how great your quarterback is. If you don't, or running backs, you have to have at least a very good offensive line. If you have a bad, look at the Giants. The Giants are good when they have a good offensive line. Then when they haven't had one, they don't win. And that's any team.
I'm not saying to put 5 guys out there that suck.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't say that. Okay, no. But you don't need 5 Hall of Famers either.
No, 100%. Yes, that I agree with. Yes,
there are guys that are playing in the NFL now that bounce around all over the offensive line that don't really have a home now, do they? Maybe they play guard and tackle. Maybe they won't play center, but they'll play guard and tackle and on both sides.
Again, I think it just comes down to you don't have to have Hall of Famers. But you have the offensive line as a unit.
Consistent play.
Yeah, the offensive line as a unit has to be known as a good offensive line. They don't have to be Hall of Famers on it. It doesn't have to be, the Cowboys of the 70s or even of recent years. I mean, Cowboys of recent years have had great offensive line with Tyron Smith and the kid and Martin and all those guys, but they don't win. But I can't think of too many teams that have won Super Bowls or win 12 games a year when you don't have the top offensive line that's ranked in the top 5 or 10 in the league. To me, it just doesn't happen. But Jeff, you're right. Nobody's running down the street in a what's his name? I'm trying to think of his name. Hannah, the guy who played guard for the Patriots. Nobody's running around in an Art Shell jersey. I get that, but at the end of the day, those offensive lines win Super Bowls. Art Shell Gene Upshaw, what's his name, Jim Otto. Those guys won Super Bowls because they were great off the line. That's just how it's built. But going back, I like Mangold. I even think DeBrickashaw Ferguson should be given some credit, some thoughts on that. The guy played every play but one in his career. Was a better than solid offensive tackle. But the 2 championship games, those two guys were as good as a lot of guys that actually get in the Hall of Fame. So, but
yeah, I agree.
That's kind of proof right there. Even though they didn't make it to the Super Bowl, that's a team that had an offensive line that wasn't the best, had 2 great players on it, and made it to 2 championship games in a row.
Yes, absolutely, and that's the point. They had a really, really good offensive line those years. With those 2 guys,
I don't know about great or good, really good. It was good, but
I think that those offensive lines were really good. They had a good team, and it was solid. Again, you don't have to have Hall of Famers to be great. But guys, listen, it's almost a quarter after. I've held you guys up for 2.5 hours almost now, but this was fun. Again, we're gonna do a mock draft next week. If anybody wants to join in, they're welcome to join in. If they don't, no problem. And in 2 weeks from now, we'll be back here doing this again. On the air doing the live draft, guys. So get ready, Jeff. You got so Frankie, let's talk. Well, I'll see you tomorrow, we'll talk. But there's a few guys we need to reach out to some people to make sure they're in or out.
Yeah, I'm gonna text them as soon as we get off the air. I'll text them, see what's going on.
Yeah, I know a few people are in, but there's.
Are we doing money again or no money?
Or? Yeah, money, $50 a man.
Yeah, $50 again. Yeah, wasn't it's not.
Yeah.
You're not breaking the bank.
Yeah. I think it's $50 a man. It's no problem. If you can, reach out to Iggy Mo. See if I think he said he was going to be in again, but a bunch of people.
Iggy Mo said he was going to be in. When I saw him like last week or a couple weeks ago, he told me he was in. He couldn't wait. So.
All right, so let's just make sure everybody knows the draft is coming. It's on the thing. I've sent out emails. I'll do another one maybe tonight or this weekend, just to remind everybody. But Jeff, maybe you will do a mock draft next week. Anybody who wants to jump in, Catalano's in.
That's fine. Just I got some breaking news for you. Jack Russell, former singer for Great White, has died at 63.
Wow, he's been messed up for a lot of years. That's a shame. That was
What was the matter with him? Do you know, was he drugs or?
I think a little bit of that. He had something wrong with him, but I think it all came back down to partying and all that. And he hasn't been that bad. Was never the same after the fire. So I mean, it just.
I don't know. Was he in that band at that time, or was it?
So you know what?
Kind of split in two. The guitar player, I think, went one way and he went another way.
There was a split. Now, you're absolutely right. I'd have to look it up. I always assumed he was there, but it could be the second version. There was Great White, and then it was Jack Russell's Great White.
Something like that. Yeah.
That was
I think the other guy was Mark Kendall.
Yes. Very interesting. Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, I would say I'm not the biggest Great White fan. There was probably 2 or 3 songs that I really liked. But we'll definitely explore more of that next week on the show. I didn't get to the Metallica stuff I wanted to. We had a lot of football, a lot of baseball. Thanks to everybody for tuning in tonight. I really do appreciate it. I thank to my good buddies. Frankie, thank you for joining Jeff and I this week. You're always welcome. I know you're busy, and
thank you for having me.
No, we do appreciate it. I will see you tomorrow for lunch.
Yep.
Looking forward to hanging, and I'm sure we'll talk a little more football.
We'll talk a little bit more.
I'm sure we will. And as we always do, but I'll definitely see you and you and Matt tomorrow. And Jeff, thank you and your wife for the hospitality last week. It was nice to see everybody at your house. You guys do a great job. The house looks amazing.
Oh, thank you.
So and your buddy John can really cook. It was good food.
Yeah, he comes looking to do it, man. It's what he wants to do.
I didn't like being the test subject for all his stuff coming off the grill, but what the hell? It was a good way to get a little extra to eat.
You're still here.
That's it. It didn't. I didn't go screaming into the night, so we're all good. But in the meantime, folks, we do appreciate you guys coming and spending 2.5 hours with us. Thank you to everybody who checked in with us tonight. My dad, Frankie Catalano, Johnny Collins, everybody out there. Everybody hit me up on the side. I want you guys to have a great rest of your night, a great rest of your week, a great weekend, and a great week. Jeff and I will definitely see you back here next week when we do this all over again. So for Jeff Towinski, myself, Frank Geffre, and everybody here at the Hard Rocket Sports Show, have a great night, and we'll see you back here next Thursday. Guys, I love you both, and I will talk to you both off the air.
All right, man.
Yeah, guys.
Take care, everybody.